know why. Yeah.
Whatever. All right.
No, let's start.
McKenna, do you still have your camera on?
Nope.
Okay. All right, it's just to help out your audio.
Off. And my cheesy introduction is written. Oh, is my audio messed up?
No, you sound fine.
Oh, okay.
Wow, talk about getting in under the wire.
Oh, wow.
Lorenzo.
Hello, Lorenzo.
Yeah? Can you hear me?
Yeah, we were just getting ready to start.
Yes, we can hear you.
Let's do this. Ready.
Quickly, Lorenzo, introduce yourself to Jim.
Hey, Jim. My name's Lorenzo. How you doing?
Good. How you doing, Lorenzo?
I'm doing okay. I'm doing all right. Glad you could join us.
Yeah, it's cool, man. Good to be here.
Okay. Are we
All right,
ready,
McKenna.
y'all?
Let's
Kick
do
it off.
this thing.
Go. It's like the cheesiest introduction I think ever written on the Agents of Helm, but here we go.
I don't know. That'd be saying a lot.
Okay. It's pretty damn cheesy. And I'm kicking it way old school with this cartoon reference, but here we go. Hello, my babies. Hello, my honeys. Hello, my ragtime gals. My name is McKenna, and welcome to the Agent Home. You all know the drill. Every week,
McKenna.
my other agents and I come together to... Yes.
You sound choppy.
You muffled in and out, yeah.
I sound choppy?
Yeah.
Shouldn't. Hold on. Is that better? At all? I'm
Say it,
trying
say
to,
it.
like, get a better... Here. Hold on. I sit right there. I'm sorry. Okay, hold on. Is that better? At all?
I mean,
Hello?
yeah. Yeah, say a full sentence.
Is that any better? Is this where I moved in my room? Is that any better?
Yeah, it's fine. I think you may when you speak, you may have to talk just slightly slower.
A little
I'm
bit
guessing.
slower?
Yeah.
I mean, also our bandwidth, I think.
Okay.
The
Yeah.
more people that are on, the tougher it gets.
Yeah, but she's also got
Okay.
wireless issues anyway.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So I'll just do it a little slower. Is that better?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll try again. Okay. Hello, my babies. Hello, my honeys. Hello, my ragtime gals. My name is McKenna, and welcome to the Agents of Helm. You all know the drill. Every week, my other agents and I come together to discuss different aspects of entertainment, and tonight is no exception. So I would like to introduce or welcome you to the animation show. That's right. Whether it's Saturday morning cartoons, classic feature-length films, or new wave flashy princess movies with obnoxiously catchy theme songs, no one can overlook the timeless genre of animation. But before we jump right in, I'd like to introduce you to our other agents and our special guests. So we have Joe,
People.
Lorenzo.
How you doing, McKenna?
Hi, Lorenzo. Glad you could make it. Johanna.
Happy, happy, joy, joy. Happy, happy, joy, joy. It's how I feel right now.
Malik.
Eat my shorts, McKenna. Eat my
Oh,
shorts.
God. And our special guest and animation expert this evening, Jim.
Hello there. I don't know about expert, but I'll do what I can.
Oh, whatever. You're as expert as you can get, I'd say. So, everybody, I guess to start off, I would like to speak a little bit more about our special guest, who happens to be my uncle, which is how we were able to get such an awesome animation name on our show this evening. But Jim is a professional animator. Actually, Jim, do you want to say what it is that you do and why you're here?
Sure. I'm here because McKenna's an awesome relative of mine, and I'm more than happy to help her with whatever. But also, I love talking about animation. I am currently an animator at Pixar Animation Studios in Emeryville, and I've worked in plenty of other elements of animation, from visual effects for features as well as television. Yeah, so I don't know about expert, but I do have some history, so hoping to help out however I can.
Fantastic. I've actually had the great pleasure and privilege to go to a couple of the studios, including Pixar, that Jim has worked at previously. So I've gotten to see some of the behind-the-scenes magic before it hit DVD, which was amazing. And I thank you again, Jim, and I will be thanking you until I'm old and gray and probably can't talk anymore. So what I asked from the agents was to come up with just a couple of questions that they might have had about what Jim has done in the past. I them of projects that you've done, and I tried.
Wait, hold on.
McKenna, you're breaking up really bad.
What?
You're breaking up really bad, McKenna.
Okay, hold on.
Also, I think everybody needs to turn their volume.
My volume's all the way down.
Give me, you guys. I might have to log off for just a second. Give me 1 second.
So Jim, how long have you been at Pixar?
I've been there a little over 2 years.
That to me is like so amazing. Like that's my man. I mean, when I first saw Toy Story, it blew my mind. Like it showed me like what computer animation had the potential to be. It was very powerful.
Awesome.
Yeah, I mean, how big a thrill is that for you to be working there? Or
that's pretty amazing. I mean, as you know, I mean, it's like it's the spot if you want to work in feature animations, and to be there, it's nuts. Like it's still pretty surreal at times. I mean, sometimes you get caught up because you're just working and doing your job, but there's still days where you get into the parking lot and you look and you see that Pixar license plate, because they actually make license plate holders for people, employees. So you see it and you're like, oh man, look at that, a Pixar license plate. And you're like, oh right, I'm in the parking lot
I'm in there, yeah.
of Pixar. So it's like, oh right. And sometimes you have to settle yourself and be like, all right, you got to do your job. Stop. You can't always be a fan, even though you always kind of hold on to that a little bit.
Is there like a huge Buzz Lightyear in the lobby, or like how do
there
you?
is. There's a big, huge Buzz Lightyear and a big, huge Woody made out of Legos.
Oh, cool.
Oh, wow.
So they're about 5.5 feet tall. But yeah, they're made completely out of Legos.
That's awesome.
And then we have a life-size Mike Wazowski and James Sullivan.
Oh.
Yeah. And
I really like that.
I'm trying to think what else. Oh, then Luigi and God, I'm blanking on the other car's name. That's really bad. From the two cars from the tire shop.
Not the
Guido. No,
Oh,
Luigi
okay.
and Guido. They're in the lobby as well.
That's so
Okay.
racist. I had no idea.
You did not know that, Lorenzo? Okay.
Too much, I guess.
But yeah, it's
Can you guys hear me a little bit better now?
It is much better. Well,
Yeah.
in my opinion, it's better.
Okay, good. Okay, sorry guys, continue.
Oh, you were just getting ready to intro the questions that we were going to have for Jim.
Yeah.
So, I don't know if you want to do that intro again, or if you want.
Oh, okay. So I'll just try that again. Yeah. I'll just say what I was about to say. All right. So I had asked the agents before starting the show to come up with a couple of questions for our guest star this evening about what it means to be a professional animator, along those lines, some of his current projects and his past projects. So who would like to jump in with a question for Jim?
McKenna, I don't know if you heard, but if you turn their volume down any, that would maybe help with a little bit of echoing that's going on.
Is that better?
It's kind of hard to tell, but yeah.
Okay. And I'll also mute while you guys are asking the questions.
Okay, so I have a question. You work at Pixar now, which is amazing. What is like one of the... Okay, so at my job, I get free coffee. Is there something at your job that is just like, like a cool little perk of working at Pixar?
Yeah, I mean the name, the studio is pretty amazing, just simply because it's Pixar, and that you're working with some of the most talented people who are responsible for some of the most influential animated features of all time. That's pretty awesome. But the cool thing is we actually have a cereal bar, which is pretty fantastic. That you can get. There's probably like, if I had to guess, I would say about 15 different cereals. And they supply free cereal and milk, and so you can get cereal anytime you want of the day.
That is freaking awesome. And that's sort of like to keep you in that Saturday morning sort of state of mind, I guess.
I think so. Well, I know John Lasseter's a big fan of cereal, and he's always loved cereal. And I think most of us grew up just loving cereal. I mean, I don't know you guys. Maybe it's an American thing. I don't know what it is, but to me, cereal is very comforting because you're like, it's just a quick snack, or it can be a meal. You can have it for breakfast, lunch, or dinner. It doesn't matter. That's what's great about it. You can
cereal is my everything. Yeah, cereal is my everything.
Yeah, totally.
So Jem, are we talking like Frosted Flakes, Fruit Loops, or are we talking like Wheaties and Kashi? And
we're talking. So we've got this. There's a number. I think like 14 are standard. I'm guessing on the total of 15. It's right around there, and I can't picture them all. But you've got your standards like Frosted Flakes, Cheerios, Honey Nut Cheerios, Frosted Mini Wheats, Grape Nuts, Raisin Bran, Captain Crunch.
Oh yeah.
Think of all of them. Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
That's all I need to hear.
Then there's Rice Chex, granola, two types of granola.
I feel like we've shifted this conversation probably away from where anybody that was interested in listening to the show wants to hear about. But
yeah, but
okay.
It's and then they have one on rotation, so that one's pretty awesome because it'll go from Life cereal to Cocoa Puffs to Fruit Loops, So it's pretty. You get your cereal fix. Whatever you're into, they've got you covered.
Oh,
all right, so
that's amazing.
As an operations, like a person in operations, that makes me cringe because I know that that's somebody's job every week to be like, okay, what did we have last week? What haven't we had in a while? What do I need to go out and get?
Well, that's a pretty easy job. Just walk up and down the damn supermarket and pick out another cereal. And pick out another cereal that you need to order. That's all. It's pretty easy.
So, Jim, I'm thinking Pixar, the office, where you work. Do you have like slides or tennis courts or some crazy bizarre things like you hear about like at Google or things like that, or is it like a huge playground or?
No. There's no playground. That's for sure. But there are, there's big open space. It's a campus, so it's legitimately a lot of square footage. The buildings take up only so much, so there's a lot of green space, so you can go walk around. There's enough field to play a small soccer game. But like the big thing I think, especially in the animation department, is everyone's like not only free to do what they want with their office, but they're encouraged to be creative with their office. So especially if you walk through the animation department, like one guy turned the outside of his office into a castle. Another guy, and that's in the Jungle Pod, which is like a series of offices. And a couple guys turned their office into like the interior of a crashed plane. So they've got like branches coming in through a window, like a window they
like
made.
Roar, Katy Perry. Nice.
Of
Yeah.
course.
Well, yeah, I don't think that's what they were going for, but yeah, maybe if you look at it that way. Yeah, so you're free to kind of be creative. So everyone kind of, invest their own creative time into the office. Like people will be there in late night office after hours working on their offices to make it unique and interesting for them and creative and whatever inspires them. So that's like the big one of the big perks of working there is they're very helpful, and like if you need help from facilities, they'll help you out in developing your office and stuff too. But
well, what about you? Do you have anything fancy going on for your space?
Mine's a very slow process. I've been there just a little over 2 years. So at first, just like with most companies, when you first start working there, you're kind of like, how long am I going to be able to stay here? Have I been, what's the deal? You kind of work in you're what's called a show hire or a short-term hire, where they say, okay, we're gonna sign you on until the end of the show, and then we'll reassess. And so my first show was The Good Dinosaur, but then it had some story issues, which has been documented in the press. So that kind of got put on hold for a little bit, and I moved on to a couple other smaller shows like The Toy Story That Time I Forgot, and Lava, which is the short film that's coming out before Inside Out, as well as I got to work on Inside Out. And at the end of that, they're like, you're fine, you're going to stay. So now that I'm on permanently, I'm starting to evolve mine. But you kind of got to be really thoughtful in what you do. You can't just throw up whatever.
Right.
So I'm kind of in the process of figuring out what I'm going to do with my space. So because I played a lot of sports growing up, I have a feeling it's going to be more sports related. But yeah.
That sounds like a huge responsibility. I hope it doesn't take up too much of your work time.
Well, that's the thing. You got to do it on your own time.
Right.
As long as you get your work done, they don't care. But generally, it happens after hours. So it's a lot of planning at home and then going, okay, what am I going to do? Should I grab this? What am I going to hang in there? So it's like planning anything else, but you take your time.
When Joe and I were talking about questions to ask, I think we both realized it made us realize how little we really know about animation, which is a subject that we're hugely interested in. So I was wondering if you could just kind of talk about what it is exactly you do in a day, when you come in the morning or and I know you've had different jobs in different roles, but just typically these days, what's going on?
Sure. Surprisingly, well, the companies I've worked for, depending on the company, I've worked for a number of different places, and depending on the project you're working on, your day can vary. But currently at Pixar, and it was very similar to that at Industrial Light and Magic when I worked there and when I worked at Tippett Studio, is you usually come in and kind of just log into your computer, you get everything settled, check your email, see what kind of is on your agenda for the day, and then you go get some coffee or cereal.
Sounds exactly like my job.
Yeah,
right,
totally.
right. Not much different. So you get yourself settled, but generally at a whether you're a visual effects company or a feature animation company, which are significantly different in style, but kind of your day is very similar in that you usually go into what's called dailies, and what that is that you usually go sit in a theater. Not much different from the ones you see at a regular movie theater, and except the seats are a lot more comfortable in our dailies theaters. They're like couches and stuff, depending on where you work. But you go sit in your dailies and you look at everyone's work from the day before. So if you are working on a shot, say, that has character A walking across the screen, talking to character B, well, you show what you've done with that in front of the director, and you say, here's how I shot. What do you think? And then he gives feedback, as well as your animation leads, like your supervisors or anyone else. Actually, the thing about Pixar, which is great, is anyone can say anything at any time, and because every opinion is taken seriously, because it is such a large talent there. I mean, everyone's so talented that a good idea can come from anywhere.
Right.
So you sit in dailies and you get critiqued on your work, so you really have to check your ego, because that shot you've been working on for 2 days and put a lot of time in could get completely just trashed. And generally people are nice. It's not like someone's going to go, "Oh, you suck," and laugh at you. Although that has happened, but that was a really bad director at a different studio, not at Pixar. You just need to check your ego and go, okay, I got to listen to this because my job is to make the director happy and give him what he wants. So then you take that information and go back to your desk and you mull over it and you sit and figure out how you're going to try to implement those notes and what you're going to do to make it work with your shot. And then you work on that till about lunch, and then you take lunch, and whatever you do for lunch depends on you. Some people work out. Some people go play soccer. Some people just eat. Some people do different things. We have, sometimes the beauty of Pixar is they have different classes. Sometimes, like on Tuesdays, we have a life drawing class, which I'll try to do at lunch. And then after lunch, you usually work some more, and then they'll have what's called rounds or lead drive-bys or director walkthroughs. Wherever you work, it's called something else. But it's generally when they come back through, like it's maybe the director, it may just be your leads. And they come back through and kind of talk you through what you've done for the day and say, how's it going? And you say, this is what I've done. This is my plan. And they either say, you're awesome, keep going, or they say, that's not the right way. Here's some notes.
Mm-hmm.
And you do that and take a break at some point because you got to get up from your desk at some point. You can't sit all day. And you go have more coffee or more cereal. And then you work until, whenever you feel like kind of heading home, because the beauty of Pixar is they just want you to get your work done, and they understand that some days you have to leave a little early to clear your head, or you've got something, and they know the next day you might stay late just to work a little bit. There's not like a time card where you're punching in and out. I mean, there is a time card, but it's not like, the old 1940s where you walk in with your time card and punch it in the clock and then you punch out on your way out. It's very, they're very respectable as us as adults, and they expect you to do your work. And that's kind of the gist of the day. I mean, but the great thing is you spend most of it animating.
Yeah, it sounds awesome. Just quick, what do you mean when you say that there is a time card then?
Oh, I mean, when you're an hourly employee, which most artists are, they want you to log the number of hours you work.
Right.
So that's why, like, some days you will work short. So you write down, hey, I worked short that day. And then the next day you come in and you work a little longer. And then you write, hey, I worked a little longer that day. I mean, that's basically it. It's nothing serious.
It's not like Fred Flintstone,
but a lot leaner. It's not so, or I should say, a lot looser in the there's no one there's no one standing over you going, make sure you punch out. Like, there's not a card that you literally put in a machine that punches it.
Right.
It's kind of honor system. You have a computer program that says, here, what were your hours for the week, and you fill it out at the end of the week and say, this is what I worked, and they pay you accordingly. Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, Jim, real quick, I have a question just about, and I don't know if this is like a segue for anybody else about any other questions that they had, but I know, just because I've spoken to you about it in the past, that you talked a little bit in that daily thing about your lead animators coming around and like checking on you and stuff and checking in with you, and I know that you've been a lead animator on projects before, and you've been animating now. Do you which one do you prefer, and like what's the biggest difference, would you say, between being like a lead on a project and then just being an animator like on the team?
Yeah, they're both different. They're both great. I love both jobs. The thing about animation is most of us in animation work our ass off to be good animators, and then at one point you end up as one of the better animators, usually through attrition, meaning you hang on longer than most people, and they say, hey, can we get you to be a lead? And next thing you know, you're responsible for other people as well, which is awesome, because at first it's very intimidating because you're like, oh man, I gotta have a really solid opinion outside of what I'm doing. But then eventually sometimes you end up a supervisor, which I was fortunate enough to be a supervisor on a film like Ted, the one with the talking teddy bear. Mm-hmm. And then I was a supervisor on some other ones like Priest and Immortals, and I was a lead on Enchanted. But the beauty of the difference is, so I love animating because that's why I started. I started in this business to animate, to make stuff move and emote. And control people's emotions with the way the character reacts to things, and I love that. And like, there's nothing that makes my day go by faster than sitting down and trying to figure out how to get this character to do what I'm trying to get it to do, and it's such a rewarding experience because at the end of the day, you press play and you get to see what you did, and you're like, wow, I can totally buy that. Or even if your day sucks and you're like, wow, I totally did not get that to work, at least you know you have something to look at. So that's what's one of the great things about being an animator. Now, being a supervisor or a lead, you spend so much of your other time helping other people, like walking around, looking at work, giving notes, that it's awesome because you're helping everyone else solve their problems that you love to work on, right? So that's basically what animation is solving the problem of how do I get this emotion onto the screen. And so you're helping more people do that. You have a bit more influence on the overall project. You're working earlier in the project to develop the character, which is awesome. That's so much fun. But at the end of the day, once the project's rolling, you kind of don't have anything to press play on that's yours. You kind of walk home, you go home and go, what the hell did I even do today?
Right.
I didn't sit in front of my computer for even 5 minutes. So the plus side of animating is you have something to show for it. And you really get to get into it and make your day fly by. The plus side of supervising is that you really get to help people have that experience. And it really is it's a really great feeling to see one of your animator friends, because everyone, that's the great thing about animation, is I've never really met an asshole in animation. Everyone's really great. I mean, there's some really overconfident, I wouldn't say overconfident, there's some very confident people, and there's a lot of different personalities, but I've never really met that asshole who just wants to tear into people, because you can't be an asshole in animation because you're gonna get it handed to you at some point. Right, so you know to kind of go easy, because not easy. I wouldn't say easy. You know not to be mean. Honesty is very much appreciated in animation, but just don't be mean about it. And so it's one thing when one of the great things back to being a supervisor is that when you help someone get through like a roadblock that they're stuck on, it's a really great feeling. You feel good that they accomplished the shot, or if you cast someone properly, you're like, yes, that totally worked out, and it was kind of a gamble. That stuff feels great too. So that's kind of the difference. You're more hands-on in the animation when you're an animator. You're a little bit more an aerial view when you're a supervisor. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah, totally.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
So Jim, I actually have 2 questions, but I'm going to let Johanna go first because I'm a gentleman. So,
All right.
Johanna, you can go right ahead, and then I will follow you if you have.
I'd be really curious to hear about what your journey was that led you to Pixar and animation.
All right. Well, I'll try to give you a smaller version because it's quite a long story. But growing up, I drew all the time. It was just something I liked doing. I was never good at it, and that's one thing that I rely on today is the fact that I always still have that belief that I'm not good at it, and it's more because I know I'm better now than I was, but it's kind of that always self-doubt that kind of keeps me going. But the reality is, I had a buddy that drew also when we were kids, and we both liked to draw together, but he stopped drawing, and I kept drawing, and that's really the only difference. So when someone tells me, oh, I can't draw, I'm like, bullshit, you just stopped. That's the only difference. Everybody can draw. It's not that hard. You just have to keep doing it. And so I just happen to keep doing it. That's my point. I'm just trying to make it clear that I don't think it's a special gift as much as it's a lot of fun work. And but from there, I went to college, but I never really thought about the fact that you could actually make money doing animation or drawing. I thought that was always kind of like a hobby. So when I went to college, I went to University of California at Davis, and I studied a lot of other stuff, but meanwhile, I always took art classes because it was just something I really enjoyed. And then when I got out of Davis, I ended up majoring in art, and I met with a woman who was an artist in my hometown of Livermore, California, and she said, you're pretty much qualified to flip hamburgers. And I'm like, well, that sucks. I just spent 5 years in college. Yeah, I spent 5 years. And the only job I can get is flipping hamburgers. No offense to people who flip hamburgers. I mean, it's an honest job, but I wanted more. And my mom happened to run into a woman who was starting a 3D animation school in Livermore. Now, the reality is it really wasn't a school for 3D animation. It was a school to teach this software called Lightwave, which was used for some 3D animation. So I hounded her. She let me take some classes, and this woman who was running the place was very kind with me not being able to afford a lot. I did a lot of work for her on the side, helping her with anything from building a wall in the studio to teaching kids how to use Lightwave, just so I could use the computers. And I taught myself how to animate by reading books, because back then the internet was nothing. I mean, it was minor. You couldn't find anything on the internet, so I had to find books and talk to people. And I got an internship in WildBrain, which is it's not in San Francisco anymore. It's not in the same place in San Francisco anymore. It's a smaller studio, and then I ended up at some guy gave me a job to do some infomercial, help him with an infomercial, and then another company gave me a chance to test some software near Santa Cruz, and then I went down to Los Angeles to work on a TV show called Starship Troopers, Roughnecks Chronicles. That was my first Hollywood gig, I guess, if you could call it that. And then from there, I went to a smaller company in Santa Monica called Threshold, which we did a lot of what the hell did we do? We ended up working on a 3D Hershey's really big 3D show, which was a 3D show for Hershey's, the amusement park in Hershey's, Pennsylvania.
I saw that. I saw that a couple of summers ago.
Did you really?
Yeah, it's where the spiders come out.
Yeah.
And, yeah, my daughter was terrified. This was like probably about 3 or 4 summers ago. Yeah, I went to see it's kind of interactive. It's like water comes out and stuff like that.
And there's the Johnny Proctor guy in the red coat. Was that still the same one?
Yeah, somebody comes out, yeah.
You know, you were the first person I've ever met who's seen that.
Yes, I saw it. Yes.
It's so funny.
Well, there's only but so much to do in Hershey, Jim.
Yeah.
We were there for like 3 days.
Oh,
so
man.
like we did like everything.
That's amazing. I've never met anybody who's actually seen it. That's fantastic.
And it had like I believe, because I've seen a few different ones, but there was like an Indiana Jones type feel to it in one of the stories or something like that.
Maybe. It was a long time ago. I worked on that.
But I definitely remember the spiders coming out because that's when my daughter started screaming.
That's nuts. So yeah, I worked on that, and then from there I got a job at Tippett Studio in Berkeley, California, and worked on and kind of transitioned from more of animation, feature animation style to visual effects. And from there I worked on a ton of movies. I was there for over 10 years with a small stint. At one point I went over to Industrial Light and Magic because I wanted to work on Transformers 2, which ended up being a horrible movie. But it was a lot of fun.
It wasn't that bad.
It was
it was
horrible.
It was better than Dark Side and this recent one.
Maybe. I hate to say I saw part of the third one. I feel bad because I have a lot of friends that work in Industrial Light and Magic, and they're fantastic animators and awesome people, and their work is some of the best I've ever seen. But I did not see all of Transformers 3, and I did not see the fourth one.
Don't see the fourth one.
Yeah. But you want to support your friends, so you go see it.
On one hand, though, I don't think it's the animator's fault.
No.
In any of those situations, I think that the transformations, that those parts of it have always been the strongest parts of the film.
Totally. And
Uncle Jim, how did you describe Michael Bay one time? There was a way that you described him.
He's a very fine man, and I would work with him again if he asked me.
There you go. All right. That's a good way to put it.
He's very adamant about what he believes. Some people find him offensive. I actually found him quite entertaining because he's completely honest about how he feels about a shot, which I will take honesty any day over someone who is just kind of meek and doesn't really attack the situation. He definitely attacks the situation, and he's very loud about it, and he uses a lot of colorful language about it. But I was a fan of working with him, to be honest, because he was true to what he wanted, and you knew exactly what he wanted. His only notes generally were, "I want this to be the coolest fucking thing ever." That was what he would say. And so you're like, okay, that's great. That's my goal. And if I don't achieve that goal, I failed. And that's awesome. So your goal, you'd go out, okay, you'd be thinking about your shot. You'd be like, okay, how can I make this as cool as possible? And you look at your posing and you look at your timings and go, okay, I can make this cooler if I push this back and I really let that fist be clear in this punch, and I put more weight into the chest, and you have this guy really lead, and then you get sometimes you'd get a pat on the back in a verbal way that was like exciting, and sometimes you would get your pants pulled down, not literally, but figuratively, in front of everybody by him, and you just knew it was one or the other though. There's no in between. There was no like, oh, I don't know, that's all right. It was either it was the worst shot ever or the best shot ever. So you were always hoping for the best. But yeah, so I worked with him there at ILM, but then I went back to Tippett for a while, and then I really kind of I missed the cartoon side of things, because that's where I really started, with doing cartoon type animation. And so I had a friend over at Pixar named Davi Anderson, who I had worked with at Tippett, and he's like, hey, Pixar's hiring, get your reel together. So I got my reel together, and it wasn't the first reel I ever sent to Pixar. I'd sent countless reels to Pixar over the years. So it's not like, hey, my first shot at Pixar, I totally got it. No, I applied probably in the teens time.
Oh, wow.
To Pixar, and this one finally worked in that. And to be honest, they looked at my reel and they said I needed to do a test, so I did a test for them. And then even then, I went in for the interview, and they're like, well, we don't know. They weren't 100% confident that I could achieve what they were going for. So they hired me on as a crowds animator, which means you do some of the background characters and second unit type stuff. But then from there, I was on second unit in crowds for Inside Out, but on everything else I've been on, on Toy Story that Time Forgot. But since then I've been on, they promoted me to Shots animator, and that's kind of where I am now.
That's yeah. So if you look at there's so many different like credit names. Just briefly, I know you had a question, Malik. I'm just to give me some context for what you were saying.
Step on my thunder. It's perfectly fine.
So you mentioned visual artist, as opposed to animator, and then animator you did crowds, but then you also did motion stuff. What's the difference between like all of those? What's the difference between visual animator and
visual effects? So
right.
Working in visual effects, I was still an animator. And basically, anytime someone says they're an animator, it means their job is to take the character and give it emotion, make it move, make it react, make it feel real. And when I say feel real, I'm talking specifically in how it moves. Like if you look at the traditional animation of the days of Disney, like Little Mermaid, or going back to Fox and the Hound, or any of those, the animators drew the characters on the screen and made them move and jump and whatever. But then you had people who would paint them. The ink and paint folks who would go in and paint the cell to give it color and shape and shadow and all that stuff. But so essentially it's similar in 3D animation. And when I say 3D, I don't mean the glasses. I mean like computer animation, because it has 3 dimensions. Even though you're working on a screen, it has that feel of 3 dimensions. We have people who build the characters. They're like virtual puppets in the computer. And we get the puppets, right? There's someone else who builds the puppets and sets them up for us to move them. There's someone else who goes and makes the textures look right, which gives them like brown color. Or if it's a dog, they give it fur. And then what we do, and there's people who do sets that build the sets that we're going to run around on, whether you're on a beach or in a house. Someone has to build that. And then there's someone else who does the lighting. And so what we do as animators is we take like a soundtrack, if there's a voice for it, and we make the character emote to that soundtrack or do whatever the character needs for that shot. So the difference then when you go to like visual effects is what I did at Tippett and ILM, is where we take like, they have real actors and real sets, like Ted. When I worked on Ted, we went and shot Mark Wahlberg talking to 2 ping pong balls on a stick, and he was interacting with something that wasn't there. And then our job is to put Ted into the frame with Mark Wahlberg to make it look like those two are in the same place. But our job as animators was to make him move. We didn't give him fur. We had another department for the fur. We didn't make the couch move. It was someone else's job to the compositors, these people that put the frames together, some very talented artists, would make the couch kind of bend a little bit underneath him. But our job as the animators was just to make him move. So wherever you go, the animator means they're going to add emotion and movement to a character. Now at Pixar, when I'm talking about crowds and second unit, that usually means Crowds are like anything that you would think of as a crowd. So you've got two characters talking in a shot, but behind them might be a ton of people standing around, whether they're in a mall or like if you talk in Monsters University, right? Mike and Sully are having an argument in the middle of the quad. Well, you've got all these characters around behind them. Someone's got to make those move, and that's usually what crowds do. Or if it's maybe not a hero character like on Inside Out, what I did was some of these background characters that had parts that had to do things and say things that interact with some of the hero characters, but they weren't necessarily some of the main characters, right? Or maybe it's a shot that, like, say, Joy and Sadness are running, and it's a quick shot of them running. Second unit and crowds would do that, so some of the shot animators could focus on the really heavy acting parts. So that's the difference there. When you're a shot animator, you usually get you're like the main actor for the shot, right? You're taking, like, currently I'm working on Finding Dory, and which is the sequel to Finding Nemo, and you take Dory and you make her talk to Marlin, right? And that's what you do. You have those two characters talking. If there's more characters in the background, well, that'll go to second unit or crowds, I should say. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Definitely. Malik, what's your question?
Yeah, so before Lorenzo jumped in with his question, actually my question tied well into Johanna's question. So Lorenzo, I hope when you do this in post, you fix it a little bit. But anyway, you worked on a bunch of different projects with a bunch of different companies. I wanted to know, is there any one film that you wish that you would have gotten the opportunity to work on that you never got a chance to do? Maybe you had an opportunity to possibly work on it, or you passed on it, or something along those lines, and it passed you by. Something that's been out there that's you really wish that you would have been able to work with.
So I was fortunate enough when I saw the first Transformers, I was like, I want to work on Transformers because, for me growing up, I had the toys. I watched the cartoon. I even had some comic books of theirs, and I was fortunate enough to work on Transformers 2 because that was awesome. I mean, to animate Optimus Prime or the any of the other ones, I did some Starscream, and you're just like, holy crap! Like I remember one day I was riding the train. I was riding the BART, which is our local train system here in the Bay Area, to work, and I was wearing, because we had crew shirts that had Optimus Prime on it, so I was wearing my Optimus Prime T-shirt. I'm riding in jeans. And I've got my backpack on and my Vans, and I'm playing games on my phone. And I'm like, if I could just go back. And I was going into work to animate Optimus Prime and Megatron fighting. And I go, if I could just go back to my 8-year-old self and just tell him, man, it's going to be all right. You just stick with it. Just playing with them toys. It's going to be okay. Because that moment was like, holy crap, I can't believe I'm actually doing this, right? I'm getting paid to basically play with toys. And that's what it felt like. But there is the one movie I wish I could have worked on, and that would have been The Incredibles. Because that happened before I was at Pixar. I'm fortunate enough that Brad Bird has announced, I believe, yes, okay, yes, that he's going to do Incredibles 2.
Yep.
So my hope is I can get onto that show. Now, if I miss that one, I'm going to be like, dang it. But, there's a lot of good work coming through Pixar in the next few years. So I'm not going to be I'm not going to be completely distraught if I miss it, but that's one. The first Incredibles to me was like the perfect movie that I always wanted to see as a kid growing up. And so to have worked on that, part of me, it's a double-edged sword because I'm glad I didn't work on it because I got to enjoy it as a viewer. But part of me really would have loved to have worked on that one.
Yeah, that's probably my favorite of all of the Pixar films.
Yeah.
In general. Yeah. My other question is in relation to other forms of animation. So I know you said you've done 2D and 3D. What's your take on, or have you ever worked on, or have you ever been inspired to work on, like, stop animation, things like Robot Chicken or the Wallace and Gromit stories? A lot of those stop animation. Do you find that, or I don't know if you've ever worked on it, but do you find that as being more difficult or less difficult than what you're doing, or just kind of a different wavelength altogether?
Yeah, that's a good question. I've never officially done stop motion for a feature or for a project. When I worked at Tippett Studio, Phil Tippett, he came from stop motion. He was he was the lead of the Creature Shop at Industrial Light and Magic when they did Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. He did a lot of the stop motion for the Tauntauns as well as the AT-ATs. I mean, this guy's a bit of a stop motion legend. Like he's like the next Ray Harryhausen, as far as I'm concerned. But he at one point brought out a table at work because there's a bunch of guys sitting around in computers at Tippett because we're all doing visual effects for movies and it's all computer based now. And he brings out this stop motion table, which is basically like small chicken wire grate, like a grate of a table, so it's got a lot of holes in it. And he sets up a camera and a computer with Dragon software, which is the software they use for a lot of the stop motion stuff. And he says, anyone who wants to do this, here's the stop motion table. And he walks off. And so I'm like, hey, that looks pretty cool. Maybe I'll give it a go. So I borrowed a rig from a guy, this guy Colin Epstein at Tippett, who he happened to have a Tom Sanamon rig. And if you don't know who Tom Sanamon is, I recommend looking him up. The guy, he was an armaturist and animator who is one of the most amazing armaturists ever, who built armatures for, I believe, Night Before Christmas. He did a lot of the Return of the Jedi stuff as well. I mean, the guy builds amazing stuff. Anyway, this guy Colin had an armature of Tom's, so I borrowed it, and I did a little test, and it was just a small test of a guy walking, maybe 3 or 4 steps, seeing something on the ground, picking it up, and putting it in his pocket and walking off. And I'm like, this will be easy. So I planned it all out. And that's one of the main differences between stop motion and traditional animation, hand-drawn animation, and computer-generated animation, in that stop motion, you really have to plan everything. You cannot just leave it up to chance. There's a bit of it in chance that's going to happen because the way you animate is completely different than any other style, but you have to plan it. You have to know where you're going. Otherwise, you get lost pretty quickly. And so I animated it, and you animate it once, whereas like traditional animation, you can fix a drawing, you can add drawings, you can take drawings out, you can always make changes and make the animation work better. In computer-generated animation, you have a lot of control as well, even more control than drawing. I mean, you could change a single pose by just moving his arm up 2.2 degrees to make it more appealing. But stop-mo animation, you literally have to go, okay, I'm going. And once you hit, record, you record that first frame and you move to the next one, and then you take that picture, because animation is just a series of pictures, but you can't go back and fix the last one because you'd have to put the puppet back in that position. And so it took me 6 hours to get it done, that simple walk, picking up something and putting it in his pocket. I spent 6 hours doing it straight ahead with a lot of help. I mean, I did a lot of tests ahead of time to kind of figure out what I was doing. Phil gave me some amazing pointers, but it took me 6 hours to do this walk that looks, I mean, it's okay. It's not fantastic, but I was proud of it because it was my first real attempt. It was friggin' brutal. My hands hurt. My back hurt. It's very physically demanding, and it just gave me a whole new respect for what studios like Laika do with Box Trolls. It's mind-blowing that they can do that, and it's just, to me, that is probably one of the most difficult forms of animation there is stop motion. And but that's probably why I've never actually done it professionally, because it's really difficult, and those guys that do it are amazing craftsmen.
Yeah, it seems really grueling. That's kind of why I had that question, because it seems like I've seen some of the commentary after watching like the Wallace and Gromit film, and also after watching some of the DVD stuff of Robot Chicken. I also watched the Fantastic Mr. Fox, and when I watch some of these and I look at some of the documentaries about like the creation of them, I wonder to myself, like, they look so amazing and they're so well done. I wonder why not more of them don't come out every year. And I realize that it's just so damn difficult to make it. It looks like it's absolutely painstakingly difficult to do things like that.
Well, and not only is the animation hard, they have to build everything. Like, they don't do a lot of they'll do some CG set extension. They might add a few crowds in there if it's in need of a crowd. Like, everything you see is handcrafted. So like the little coats and the little shoes and the lamps. And I mean, Laika's done an amazing job lately by showing off what they actually do. And that makes, to me, I'm glad they're doing it, because it's letting the audience appreciate how handcrafted those features are. But like, when you really see it firsthand. I mean, these things aren't. It's like the car that they drive in Paranorman that they're all riding in. It's probably about maybe like 2 feet tall. I mean, it's not like these things are small either. They're good size, but it's impressive. Like the amount of detail and attention to detail they have, and the craftsmanship of how they build this stuff. It's mind blowing. And it's not so the animation's not only difficult, it's all the other aspects are just unbelievable as well.
Yeah, definitely not to be taken lightly.
Yeah.
I did have another question, but I'm going to wait for these guys to ask another one.
Sure.
Joe or Lorenzo, I don't want to take up all the time. So.
Yeah, I have a couple of questions, Jim.
Sure.
So how much interaction would you say you have with the actors or voice actors? Because I noticed like in some animation, well, it's a really popular actor, like a Billy Crystal or something, like the face that's in the character kind of sort of looks like the face of the actual actor and has a lot of the facial expressions, things like that you would see from the actor normally. So how much interaction do you have with them?
On an animation level, when you're an animator, it's not a lot. So when you're animating, it's very limited. You do have, they record most studios will record all the, they'll record with a video camera as well as recording the voice. When they do the voiceover stuff, they'll record them acting it out. So you can use that as reference for what they do to get like kind of any kind of facial things that they tend to do. But generally you want to kind of make sure you stick to your character and less about the actor. Like the actor brings some cool stuff now and again, and you can find these little bits. But if it's out of character for, like, say, speaking of Billy Crystal specifically, if he does something that isn't very Mike Wazowski, you got to stick to what Mike Wazowski would do, not necessarily what Billy Crystal's doing in a booth with headphones on, talking to the pantyhose microphone that they use, because they're very limited. They're reading a script. They're standing in a room by themselves because it's in a booth that's soundproof. It's very confining. Unlike, because I had some friends who worked on Rango, and what Gore Verbinski did when he filmed that is he shot a lot of it like he would shoot a play, and so people could use more of that for the acting choices, versus like a lot of these booth recordings. It's kind of more they're stuck in a booth. They might get a cool hand gesture, a facial thing that you can use now and again, but you really have to stick to who the character is of what you're animating. Now, when you're more of like a supervisor, like when I was a supervisor on Ted, I got to have more interaction with Seth MacFarlane I was there when he was recording the dialogue because he would do it on set. So I got to go on set a few times and watch him perform when he was performing like with Mark Wahlberg on set and whatever. So you kind of get to see some of that when you become more of a supervisor. Again, it's just the difference of being a supervisor versus an animator. I know at Pixar, the supervisors sometimes are there for some of the voice recordings when the actors come. But a lot of that's the director dealing, because you don't want a lot of people there when the actors are doing their recording. You want the director to make sure he gets what he needs for his show. And so he's there dealing with them. Hey, let's try that again. Let's try it with a little emphasis on this word. Okay, let's add a little thing. And then the actors are pretty awesome. Most of them will throw ideas back. Like I know Albert Brooks he's amazing in as Nemo's dad, as Marlin, and he's so funny that he'll throw out ideas and they're like, oh, that's great, we'll use that, and they'll use stuff he does. So it depends. On the actor, but generally the director's really the only one that deals with them specifically on recording voices and stuff.
Okay. Yeah. And my other question is, what do you think is missing from today's animation? So you said you're into sports, so for example, like in football, you don't run the ball as much anymore, and in baseball, pitchers don't like to pitch inside as much anymore. Do you feel like there's anything along those lines missing from today's animation?
That's a tricky question. There is, yes and no. Like, my whole thing is that I really love films that focus on the craft and find the heart of the story and focus heavily on the story idea. I don't really like a lot of cheap tricks. Like if one thing that's become very cliche over the last decade or so. I mean, you look at animation as a whole, and it's becoming a cliche in general. Is that I'm tired of them killing off a parent. You know, we don't
Oh
need
my God!
parents anymore.
It is so funny you mention that. My wife and I talk about it all the time. It's like especially with Disney.
Yeah.
That's par for the course. You've got to kill. Starting like way back with Bambi, you got to kill a parent.
Well, that's the first
Lion
rule of
King,
children's stories. Is you
I
gotta kill
mean-
the parents.
Or
Lion
they have to be
King,
an
all of
orphan.
them. Yeah.
And that's one thing I mean, it's like, so there's a rule with story when you tell stories is that you really want to raise the stakes, because the bigger the risk, the greater the reward, and I get that, but there comes a point where it's cliche, it's been overdone, and two, it's just too much. You know, it's like we didn't need that for that story. The story was doing fine without killing this person that this character really cares about. Like death is sometimes too much, and sometimes, sometimes it totally works. But the problem is, I think it's been a little overdone. So that's one thing. I think, I would like, now that I have a daughter, and I hate to say that it took me to have a daughter to kind of realize this, but I'd love to see more strong women in animation as the lead. Like I loved Brave because, as much as Merida was a bit of a brat, at least she was a strong woman, and she had a strong mother, and that was pretty awesome because I can show that to my daughter and go, look, you can be a badass. You don't have to be a meek princess looking for the prince to save you. Like, you save yourself, That's something that I think is going to start happening more, which I hope they do. I want to see stories from different elements. I'm tired, and I know this is just happens to be a big subject in animation right now. And as much as I fit into the stereotype of what runs a lot of the directors are, these middle-aged white men, it's nice to see, like we have right now, this guy Pete Sohn who's directing The Good Dinosaur. He's of Asian descent, and he's running, and it's good to get other voices. It's good to get other people like Sanjay Patel. It has a short coming out with The Good Dinosaur called Sanjay Super Team, and he's Indian. And to see, luckily we were fortunate enough to see his short. I didn't work on it, but I got to see an early screening of it, and it's like, it's great to see other stories, stuff that we're not seeing here, something from other parts of the world. There's more out there than what we're exposing ourselves to right now, and I want to see more of that. And so that's another thing, just more of that attention to detail at the craft. Like one movie lately that really stuck with me, and it's not animated, was Mad Max, because there was so much attention to detail. Everything was thought out. There wasn't a piece on any of the cars that was just there for show. It was there for purpose. Every little thing had purpose. As much as some of it may have felt overdone or that felt unnecessary, when you really think about it, it did have a purpose, and I really liked that.
That guitar player needed to be there.
He
just
did.
saying. He needed
totally
to.
did.
It was the best part, in my opinion. Just gonna throw that out there. Anyway,
But
continue.
as much as you're kidding, McKenna, it's the truth. In that, like, if you think about back in like colonial days and in the Revolutionary War, they had drum lines, guys that came out with drums that inspired their armies to march. And that's what this guy is. Not only is he in the front with a gas-powered flame-throwing guitar, he's got 4 drummers behind him banging on the drums. I mean, could you imagine if you had to go to battle
It's
and
incredible.
you're going to Valhalla and you've got these guys banging on drums, this guy's jamming on guitar, you'd be out there to kill. Like, it would be awesome.
Shiny and chrome, baby. Shiny and chrome.
That's right.
Holla!
But it's little things like that you look at it first and you're like, that's ridiculous. But then you really look at why they did it and you're like, no, that's how it would be. It would be crazy. Chaos.
Yes, that movie has become my mistress. I love that film. I love that film.
It was a great movie.
Like, I haven't had a movie affect me in that way in a long time, where I'm like, I want to see it again and again, and I want to show people, and I think people need to see this movie, and that's what this is.
Sort of along those lines, I have a series of questions.
Sure.
So as part of animation, I think the key thing you're saying is actually that emotion coming across, but not just through like a facial expression, but also through movement. I know you talking about actors and like trying to capture their likeness. I recently saw Beowulf again, and that's an example to me of where they relied heavily on the actors for the actual, I guess, animation aspect, or to give ideas, because you could see that the king was moving just like what's his name, Anthony Silence of the
Hopkins.
Lambs. Yeah, Anthony Hopkins, and and so it looked like they looked a lot like the actors who were playing the parts. And but then you mentioned also Ted, and you mentioned ping pong balls, and I was wondering, in that situation, was Seth MacFarlane like behind the couch, like doing the lines while Mark Wahlberg was looking at the eyes? And then I guess in general, in other situations, like how do you capture realistic movement when I guess, is it motion capture, like when the Two Towers, that whole series with where they just they put all those little green balls on the person, and then they kind of capture the motion that way, as opposed to like something like Transformers where it's like a big robot. Like how do you figure out how to move things?
Well, first of all, like the Beowulf stuff, that was all mocap. Although there's a bit of a confusing thing happening in Hollywood, is that, and when you think about it, you really discover what they're doing. It's a big commercial. So like guys like that are really pushing the mocap, they say that mocap solves everything, and the truth is it's not. It's a lot of data, and it doesn't always come back clean. And you get a very realistic movement, but if you don't put a little something in it, if you don't have an animator who can't go in and clean it up and know what's right, it just looks bad. Especially the faces. Like the face, they have yet to really get facial capture to be as clean as they're selling it, right? So they're selling it in all the magazines. They're selling it in all the interviews. Like Andy Serkis goes out there and says it's all him. It's totally his performance. And the truth is, it's a 50-50. It's a give and take. It does capture some of the performance, but a lot of times the director will change what happened on set, or change what was happening in the performance, and then the animator's got to do that. And sometimes the data comes back and it's just not working. It doesn't read as clear, and the animator has to push it. So it's a lot of work. It's a very collaborative process. Mocap isn't pure animation, though, where like you're talking about Transformers, a lot of the fight stuff and that sort of thing was guys animating it, going, I need the characters to be here, I'm going to put them there in the computer. The beauty of Industrial Light and Magic, I used to hate mocap, and I said mocap is a waste, and it's ruining animation, right? I was this big guy against mocap, and then I went to Industrial Light and Magic, and what they really taught me was the great thing, the way they use mocap is fantastic. They use mocap for a lot of the guys in the background, or if your character just has to stand there, that's an annoying thing to animate. It's not a lot of fun. And so you can get that in a mocap suit, and it captures the data, and the guy just stands there, and you have to do some adjustments, but it's not a big deal, and you get it done quicker, so you can focus more time on the really key emotional spots or the key violent spots of the fighting, the real tricky animation stuff that you can't mocap. So that's one of the benefits of mocap. With like Planet of the Apes and that sort of thing, as much as Andy Serkis takes all the credit, I know a lot of people out there who work really hard to make his performance come through clear, because sometimes, like I said, the data isn't totally clean, and so you get some weird movements, facial tics, or maybe it just doesn't read, and they have to amp it up. And they put a lot of effort and hours in to make it look good. With Ted, specifically, Seth had a different type of mocap suit, which I won't bore you guys with all the tech side of it, but basically he wore a suit on set, but it was off behind the camera. But the benefit of him doing that was Mark and him could riff off of whatever they were feeling, so they could do a little ad-libbing. But Mark would just make sure he was looking at the two ping pong balls. It was like supposed to be Ted's eyes, and it would be set at the height of Ted. They're sitting on the couch. Excuse me. And he would look, so he could look from eye to eye and interact with what Ted was saying. And Seth and him would just riff off each other, and to the point sometimes they'd laugh on set because what they're saying is ridiculous and funny. But they tried to play it straight, and then we'd get some of that data back, and again, some of it would work and some of it wouldn't, and a lot of it we'd have to just keyframe. But to know how to make that look right and how to make it match with actual data is it's just a process of being an animator. You start to learn what realism looks like versus what cartoon animation looks like. You know, how to add more weight. Like, for example, in the Two Towers, you know, some of that stuff, they had to add a lot of weight to give weight to Smaug or whatever in The Hobbit, and or the Goblin King or some of the other guys. They couldn't mocap some of that stuff, so then they go in, the animators have to animate it, and you just have to make it look the same, and it's a lot of trial and error sometimes. Sometimes it's knowing what you want to do and what has to work. Did we break something?
I'm not sure what that noise is. It seems like a little bit of static. Is that what you're talking about?
Oh yeah, I sounded like someone was writing on a chalkboard. Anyway, but yeah,
Maybe
so
trying to capture some notes.
Yeah. You know, so it comes down to the mocap's great for sometimes. Usually still needs someone to go in and work on it. But sometimes you can't mocap stuff and you got to just animate it, you know.
So for that Transformer stuff, are you relying like on like, you know, the toys you played with when you were a kid and like, you know, smashing them together? Like, how do you possibly get that vision of like how a huge robot moves?
Well, you look at them as the characters and what are their limitations, right? So there's a lot of different ways to go about it. But how I personally go about it is I go, okay, what's the character's limitations, right? There's certain joints that only move certain ways, and then I look at like real footage of people fighting, right? You go online, you go YouTube, you can find guys boxing, and you go, okay, well, I need a guy who looks really wide because I'm working on Devastator. Right, and he's a big character, and he kind of the arms are longer than a normal proportion of a human. But if I look for some big brute, I can maybe find something in how he moves. And then you break down the footage, and you kind of frame through it and go, okay, he's really leading with his hips, and then he comes in, and his head stays pretty even, you know, and then he leads, and then the shoulder comes, and then the fist comes through, and as he follows through, the fist comes through, but the other one's getting ready for the next punch, or whatever the case may be. And then you get up yourself and you try it out. Like I was fortunate enough to work on some shots of Devastator destroying the top of a pyramid. So I figured out, okay, well, how would I do it? If I'm up on the top of the pyramid and my job is to just rip everything apart, how would I do it? Okay, it's probably about this thick. I'd take the top off first. So I'm going to punch the top off and shove it off. And then there's going to be a hole there, so I'm just going to stick my hand and start ripping.
Hello? Uh-oh. Hello?
Yeah, I don't know what happened to Jim.
Joe, you can hear me though, right? And
I can hear you.
I can all hear Joe.
McKenna's gone.
McKenna fell. She dropped.
Oh.
I hear Jim.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're
Yeah.
good. We can
Now
all
I
hear.
hear.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, you must have went out for like a second there.
Oh, okay. What,
Sorry.
I think it's all good. I think we got everything in that, Jim. So you can just keep going.
Well, the part that we didn't hear was after you rip the top off of the pyramid, and then you kind of go in there. That's when
yeah. So then I just came up with. I did some quick sketches, kind of like I posed myself out and said, okay, I'll do this, and I kind of did some quick sketches and showed them to my supervisor and said, look, this is what I'm thinking, and kind of pitched him the idea, and I kind of pantomimed it by kind of walking through it, and he's like, yeah, great, let's see it. So then you go back to your desk and you just start hammering at it and try to get the rig to do what you want to do, and then you show them again when you got something that kind of resembles what you were going for, and then they say, yeah, keep going, or they say, no, never mind, gotta go back to the drawing board.
A rig is just sort of like your pieces.
Yeah, a rig, sorry, that's total lingo talk there. A rig is like a puppet. It's like a virtual puppet.
Mm-hmm.
It's like if you had the toy inside the computer and it has controls at every joint. So like at the elbow or the wrist, and you can like grab the wrist and put it wherever you want, and the arm goes with it. Like the hand is attached to the arm, and so you move the hand away and the arm goes with it, and then you can position the chest at any point in the hips, and then the hips kind of drive the upper body. You know, wherever you move the hips, the whole body goes.
Right. That's that puppet you said that somebody else kind of builds, like the skeleton.
Yeah. And so, depending on the system you're working with, your rigs could be very sophisticated, and you have a lot of different controls, or it could be very simple and it's a little harder to control. But yeah, it's basically a virtual puppet.
Very cool. Very cool.
Jim, real quick, what kind of time are you? Do you
What
need
time
to get
is
going,
it? I don't even have
or
a clock in here.
It's
It
like 8:30 your time.
8:30 your
8:30?
time?
Oh yeah, sure. I got a few more minutes. What do you guys
Few
need?
more minutes? Well, I was just gonna say, do you guys want to just maybe two more questions, and then we'll let him go, and we'll kind of just bang out the rest of it? Because Jim, we just have like a couple, like, if you could do this, what would you do? If you could be an animator, what would you animate? Just like questions like that, but we'll do that.
Sure, whatever.
So you guys?
Yeah, Jen, real quick, how do you feel about Japanese animation compared to what you do?
Japanese animation. The thing I love about Japanese animation is they don't cater to just children. They make films for everybody. There's a big misnomer with animation in general that it's its own genre. Like if you make an animated film, it fits all into this. All animated films fit in the same category. But if you really look at animated films, you've got some that, especially in Japan, you've got some that are drama, some that are action, some that are comedy. You know, their animation can be any genre, and it's just a different medium. It's like looking at painting versus sculpting. You know, it's just a different form of art. And the great thing about Japanese animation is they do all that. Like if you look at Spirited Away versus like Ninja Scroll, those are totally two different genres, right?
I love Ninja Scroll. It's like one of my favorites all time.
Totally, so violent, it's great.
Yeah.
But you know, and I love like God, I'm blanking on the last movie. What was it?
There's something like Appleseed. I don't know if you saw the most recent Appleseed.
Yeah.
EXO.
I don't know if I saw. I don't think I saw that one. No.
I mean, I thought the animation was. It looks so real.
Yeah.
It was kind of short on story, but the animation itself, I thought it looked incredible. I believe it was Appleseed EXO.
Yeah,
was the latest one.
The animation coming out of Japan, I mean, it's unbelievable. It's beautiful. It's amazing artwork, and a lot of times the stories are good. That's what I mean by like when you guys were asking what would I like to see from animation. I want to see more of that. I want to see more of us in the U.S. Emulating kind of what Japan's done and broadening our scope for what animation can be. Because it can be beautiful and it can be dark and it can be more serious, but yet it can also be subtle and kind and like it could be anything. And that's why I love it. Like, and that's why I love a lot of the Japanese stuff as well as, you know, some of the U.S. stuff is starting to go there a little bit. Like Inside Out, not to sound like a commercial and like a company line.
Don't worry. We're definitely seeing it, so don't worry about that.
They really it's a different story. It's not an action flick. It's got some nice action in it, but it's not like it's a very emotional film. I mean, obviously it's about emotions, right? So it's got to be emotional, and
right.
And I love the way it's told. It's told different than anything I've seen that I can remember. And that's what it's a good step, I think. You know, I think it's a good step in the right direction for animation as a whole.
Well, Jim, talk about. I thought Up started out pretty dark.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, this is like those first 5 minutes were like draining. I'm like, wow, this is supposed to be a kid movie. and then it takes off to the kid part. Yeah, the opening montage. Yeah. With like you said, the parent dying, the loved one dying, you know, going through his whole life and then losing his wife and everything. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's what animation can be, and it's to me it's like the 8 minutes of some of the most beautiful work done in animation because it's so you're sucked in.
Yeah,
but,
yeah.
And I don't know if you guys have ever seen this, and if you haven't, you should look it up. But if you look up drunk guys watching Up, so they show the first 8 minutes of Up to a bunch of drunk guys, and their comments are hilarious.
Holy shit.
Oh, I'm gonna watch it tonight.
It's on YouTube, so check it out.
To do just a little bit more plugging though, to me, Inside Out looks pretty different. Different than a lot of other Pixar movies. Just the kind of the look of it, the feel of it. Is that something that you could talk about?
Oh yeah, it is. It's very so. The story's about a young girl who goes from her family picks up when she's 11 and moves from Minnesota to San Francisco. and how does she deal with that, right? And so you learn about it, a lot of it, through her emotions. But at the same time, you're seeing her dealing with it on a daily basis. And as far as time frame goes, it's not a very long time frame as far as like in her life. But Pete Docter, the director, who also directed Up, by the way, he did it based off of his daughter. He's like, what's going on inside of her head? Like all of a sudden one day she was this happy little girl, and suddenly she seemed moody and he didn't know what's going on. So he kind of wrote this story to discover that. And that's kind of what it's about. It's about her. And so the style is different in that the real world looks a lot like Pixar Real World, right?
Mhm.
It looks like a lot of the human stuff looked. It's a very stylized version of our world. But when you go inside of her mind, it's very. It's more of a cartoonish style, way more stylized, right?
Right,
It's the
right.
imagination of what inside of someone's head would actually look like. And so that's why the characters are so designed as such. They're designed to match the emotion. You know, anger, when he gets mad, his fire goes out of the top of his head. Fear is very thin and nervous all the time, and like the way he's designed works with him. Disgust works with her. Sadness is just a little ball of sadness. And joy is like a sprite, and she's bouncing all over the place. And the way her design works is it works with her and being so happy. And yeah, so there was a definite push to design different things. To design the interior world differently than the exterior world, so you wouldn't be confused as an audience to go, oh wait, which world am I in? You will clearly know which world you're in when you're watching it.
Yeah, I mean, even the textures maybe seem more, I don't know if simplistic is the right word, but just knowing what Pixar can do with textures, it seems like the inside world is a little bit more, I guess for lack of a better word, simplistic is.
Yeah, I recommend seeing it on a big screen. Don't wait for video because DVDs are never the same. But you'll see that the textures it looks simple, but when you really look at it, especially Joy, you're going to see it's some of the most amazing stuff I've seen. And I'm not just saying that because I work there.
Sure, yeah, no, I'm excited to see it, definitely.
Yeah, but it does have a simpler quality. It's a very more stylized look inside the head. Yeah.
Great, it's great. It's great to be able to, because I just saw the preview, like yesterday. So it was, it's great to like just come around the next day and ask that question that was in my head. That's awesome.
Yeah,
Definitely a perk of this job.
It's actually coming out on the day of my daughter's birthday, so I'm taking like 4 11-year-old girls to go see this on that day. So I was both excited to see it for myself, but also kind of like I'm not sure about this adventure that we're going through. So I'm definitely looking forward to it.
Malik, I think you're going to enjoy it, especially because you have an 11-year-old daughter. I think you're really going to enjoy it. Yeah.
Well, yeah. I'm pretty sure I'm going to be able to relate to a lot of stuff that's going on in there. And she's going to be able to relate to it too. Actually, my last question before you jump off, Jim, was reference to finished product. So, as an animator, I mean, I know that there's so many other parts of an animated film that you work on, and then there's also the other pieces of it with the actors and the voiceovers and things of that sort. How long after you're finished with your pieces of the film does it take to get to the end result? And also, and lastly, do you get a chance to see the film a month or a long time ahead of time? And how does that impact your because you can't say anything about it
Right.
until it's coming out. But like how long does it take for you guys to be done with it, and then how long before it releases do you guys get a chance to see it?
It usually depends on the production. Visual effects, so movies, live action movies where we put in characters, usually is closer to the deadline.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're kind of getting within weeks sometimes, depending on changes and stuff, how the story went and everything. Usually getting into a few weeks prior, maybe a month, and then sometimes you'll get to see it, sometimes you won't. It depends on the distributor and whether they're willing to give your company a copy or set up a screening for you. Usually, if the higher up you are, the more likely you are to see it. Like I was fortunate enough on TED to go to the premiere down in LA, and I was really happy to do that. You'll sometimes get to see temp screenings where things are still in progress. and you'll get to see it and kind of take that information back with you to talk to everyone about it. Now, Pixar, it's a whole different animal in that you get to see screenings early on. So they'll have like what's called a story reel, where they'll have like basically storyboards for the whole movie and some temp audio and temp soundtrack, and you'll get to watch that. And so you'll see kind of what you're going to make, because the trick is with a a feature animation film that like we do at Pixar, you need to have context for the whole movie in order to kind of do your part, because what you do in your part needs to fit into the whole thing. Mm-hmm. So they'll show you early on. You get to watch reels whenever you want. Every time there's a new screening, which is usually every couple months, they'll kind of cut everything together and say, this is where we are, how are we doing, and then they'll make notes and make changes, so you kind of watch it then. But as far as like finished product, like for Inside Out, we were fortunate enough to get it done pretty early. Like we've been done for a while. We had our wrap party for Pixar, I'd say beginning of May, so almost a month ago now. And then they just did the world premiere at the Cannes Film Festival last week, which apparently went over really well, which is cool. But
yeah,
so I've seen the
good.
film. Yeah, the reviews are really good, which is nice to hear. And then Pixar is really great because they'll do what's called friends and family screenings, usually a month before the movie comes out. And so what that means is you can usually have like 5 people come with you, and you can go bring, like I brought my parents and my kids with me. And my wife saw it at our wrap party, so she didn't need to see it again. But so you can do that. So you get to see it a number of times before it comes out in theaters. So Pixar's really good about that.
And do you guys have like a non-disclosure agreement where obviously you've seen it a month ahead of time? Like how do you get your family to like not tweet about it or not say anything about it before? 'Cause I know your kid's gonna go to school and be like, dude, I just saw this movie.
They know. We basically, when you sign in at the studio, you're signing a non-disclosure agreement, so you can't say anything. Now, I as far as the kids go, excuse me, my kids are 6 and 8, and they're not going to say it. They don't tweet or anything, so I don't have to worry about them too much. They might say to their friends that they saw the movie, but they're not going to talk about it too much. But like my parents, I have to say, look, no mom, no Facebooking about this, because my mom's a Facebook fanatic, and dad
fanatic.
Don't say anything. Yeah, and my wife's pretty good on the Facebook and all the Instagram and all that stuff, and she knows very clearly that she can't post. Like we could take all the pictures we wanted at the premiere at the wrap party, but they ask us, this is our special time. Please don't post pictures of inside the event. We want to keep it, to Pixar. So a lot of our events we won't tweet about, and everyone knows that, and they're very good about not doing it because nobody wants to ruin what we have.
Right.
So,
right.
Yeah. So we try to keep things kind of internal because that's what it's about, and you really don't want to ruin that as an employee because most people really enjoy the place. Yeah.
Absolutely. No, I really worry about the kids because I swear my daughter would tell the world. Like she'd go to school and give them the entire breakdown of the entire film. Like she'd take the first 20 minutes of school and be like, "This is what happens in this movie," and tell them everything. and I'd be fired the next day. I'd be fired.
Yeah. Well, this is what I do. So I tell my son he likes to chat about it, and he'll say things that are questionable, and I'll tell him, I go, look. The next time something comes up and I'll be talking about something, he'll say, "Dad, what are you working on?" I go, "I can't tell you because I know you're going to say something." It's no problem. Don't say anything. He's learned. He's quickly learned not to say anything.
Johanna, do you have one last question for Jim?
Yeah, I was actually I was wondering if you had, and I mean, it sounds like you are super busy with stuff at Pixar, but I was wondering if you had any like personal projects that you worked on in those tiny little cracks between family and Pixar.
Yeah, I draw all the time. I try to draw all the time. Right now, I try to set goals for myself externally, outside of work that help me in my work. Now, the beauty of being at Pixar is that everything I do I can use for work because it's just so, they're very collaborative at Pixar. So like this summer, what I'm really trying to do, I want to learn more about story. So I asked one of our story leads, actually one of the directors, a co-director of Brave, what books do you recommend? And he's like, well, here's a couple, and he gave me some, and I'm just going through and reading them to get better acquainted with story, because story is so much of the heart of Pixar that I want to be able to have a conversation about it. And that's kind of what I do, is I try to, in my extra time, it's less about necessarily a personal project as much as about I just want to get better at what I do so I can do my job better and keep my job, because there are a lot of people out there who work very hard to try to come in and take that job, because it's a good one, so I want to keep it. But at the same time, like, on that same breath, one year I decided to do a drawing a day for a year, so every day I try to do a drawing, and to me that was a thing. And then that actually turned into an art show at one point, and I put together some paintings for an art show and a pizza place. It wasn't anything specific, like it was some great
Jim,
museum,
like, not to interrupt, but can you, I was going to actually plug this, but if you would like to plug it, I don't know if you want anybody being able to see your drawing a day blog, but I still look at your drawing a day blog, just so you know. Like, I loved it, so if you want to plug it, feel free.
Sure, I guess. I mean, I haven't done anything on that blog for so long, because again, like you said, kids and family, and my focus has been Pixar and getting better at working there. And I teach at a place called the Animation Collaborative, which is in Emeryville, right across the street from Pixar. I've also taught at other places like Animation Mentor, which is an online school, and the California College of Arts. But currently I'm at the Animation Collaborative teaching there once a week, so my time does get a little limited sometimes. And the other thing is, I really do love my family, so I like to spend time with them. But I also love movies, so I got to fit in time to watch movies, and I get behind sometimes. So it's a lot of like, okay, what's my goal this month? And that's a lot of what I do. Like, okay, so this month, like currently, this month of June, I'm going to be focusing on story. And then in July, I may still be doing story because I'm kind of into it right now, because that's what I did for May. But then come August, I may focus more on catching up on movies and then dissecting movies from an angle of looking at them through the lens of story. And then, maybe in September, I'll focus more on drawing. But I'm always drawing, and I'm always trying to do art with my kids because I love it so much that I want them to do it. And then, I'll do sculpting with them and stuff like that. So maybe, 1 month it's like, all right, I'm going to draw more with the kids. And then, so that's kind of what you have to do, is you can't do everything all the time. You can't always have a project going. And I try to get away from the computer as much as possible. So most of my personal projects are me getting better by getting away from the computer. And it's not necessarily something like an animated short, although I did try to do an animation a week at one point, but that didn't last. That lasted about 30 weeks, and then I just couldn't do it. But yeah, that's kind of a roundabout way to say I do have some personal stuff I do, but it's nothing that I put out there necessarily for the world to see.
Except if you go to pizza at the right place.
Yeah, but that was what was that, a year? That was a year ago, and that show's long gone. But yeah, it was a lot of puns, a lot of bad puns in cartoons.
They were great puns. Whatever. They were so good.
But yeah, some of it you can see. McKenna, if you want to send a link. I don't know, however you want to do that on the thing.
Yeah, I'll figure it out, and if I have your permission, I'll definitely.
Yeah, you have my permission.
Post the link.
Just as a heads up, though,
yes.
I think I've touched that thing for like a year and change. Probably.
You know what? I'm not gonna lie, Jim. I'm mostly just excited because you made me. One time you made me an animation. You made me a picture, and it's like my claim to fame. I'm like, yeah, my uncle drew that for me. So that's why I always like showing people.
Awesome.
So cool. Yeah, I'll add that on there for sure.
All right. Yeah,
hey, Jim, one last thing before.
All right.
Yeah,
Jim,
sure.
I feel like it'd be remiss if we didn't ask. So, like, if for aspiring animators out there, for the kids that are listening, do you have any words of advice you'd like to impart on them? You did mention once that the key to your success was basically just attrition, not leaving, just sticking with it when everybody else gave up. So, that or beyond that, what advice do you have?
Yeah, I'd say the attrition's huge. If you really love it, don't stop. Make sure you love it, though. I mean, because it's a lot of hours, it's a lot of time. But I got to say, animation has led me on an awesome path of meeting some amazing people. And again, it's a journey. Like, you're never going to get to a point where you know everything. and you're never going to get. If you get to that point, then you need to quit, because then you're not going to keep going. Yeah, you're going to get kicked out probably at some point if you think you know everything. So you just got to keep learning and keep studying. I mean, that's the big thing, is like to think that the masters, the thing I'm learning is the really good people are always studying. And that's what I try to do. I'm trying to always study and get better, because that's the only way. And it's a fun road. I mean, you get the best thing about animation is everything you do can be used to animate towards animation. You can go to the mall and watch people. Do people go to the mall anymore? I don't even know. But anyway, you go to a public place. Go to a public place. Go to a bar. That's what I like to do. My wife and I go to a bar and we try to figure out what people are talking about. Like, you don't listen to their conversation. You just watch their body language. Like, even that can be used for material for what you're doing. You just always kind of learn to open your mind to what's going on around you to kind of absorb it. And that's a big thing for animation and art in general. Everything I'm studying as far as like drawing and story now and art and animation and sculpting is like to look around you and really learn to open up and discover what's around you, because that person you think's ridiculous might be really interesting material for later. That guy that's just a total douche and just won't shut up, at a bar, and you're like, God, this guy's so annoying. Just study his body language and see if he thinks he's annoying, and you can probably figure it out by studying it. Or if he's completely oblivious, that's fun too. It's like the thing about art and all that is that you really can look at life from a different perspective, and that's the fun part of it. And as long as you're having fun and you keep doing it, even through the times you're not having fun, you can be successful. And success can mean a lot of different things. Pixar isn't the end-all, be-all. I'm fortunate enough to work there, and a lot of people in animation want to work there, but there's a lot of awesome jobs out there too. And you can go all over the world. I have friends who live in London, and guys I've worked with who live in New Zealand and Australia, and I know a guy, a good friend of mine, Jesse Vickery, he travels the world animating. And it's like, I mean, that's an amazing thing to be able to do that. So it's a great career if you really want to do it. You got to put a lot of time in, but if you love it, it's really not work.
That's, I think, like the best thing that you could ever say to end that. That was the best plug for ever doing that. So you don't just like have to sit there and have no friends and not be like a cultured person and just sit behind your computer. You can go out and travel the world and like sports and have a family.
Yeah, I mean, that's the funny thing. I mean, I was talking, because I'm very lucky, again, with my job, and a friend of mine and I have started this thing at work where we're interviewing people at work about how they do so we can all learn about each other. And this one guy said his career really took off when he learned to get away from his computer for a while and look at life, because so much of life can be used in the computer. And if you're just sitting in front of a computer all day, you don't know what life's about. You forget, and you start relying on cliches and things that you think are right. But when you get out and live and go get drunk once in a while and you goof off and you go skiing or whatever the heck it is you want to do, you learn a ton about the world, and then you can use that for your art. And so it's hugely important to get out.
Well, Jim, thank you so much. I think everybody here would agree that this is amazing, just to get just a little glimpse of what it is that you're a part of. And we can't wait to see more of what you're doing and what the companies that you're working with are going to do.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, and hopefully we'll see you soon. I'll see you soon, and you guys. Yeah. I think what just needs to happen is the whole family needs to come out, and we'll all just go out to lunch. I think
that's right.
I think that needs to happen. Pixar should be taking care of you enough that the family can come out to New York every once in a while. Just saying.
Bring the agents to California. That'd be
even better.
Special edition.
I'm on board to just roll up to the campus of Pixar and just be like, we know Jim. Just
all right. Well, Jim, yeah. Thank you so much for doing this. And and personally for me, just give the kids a giant hug and tell them I'll see them soon, and give Wendy a kiss for me. Miss you guys.
All right. Well, thank you guys. That was awesome, and I love talking about animation. So
Jim, thank you, Jim.
Great. All right. Well, good luck with your show.
All right. Thank you.
Guys.
All right.
Bye, Jim. Thank you.
I didn't get to ask him what episode of Starship Troopers Roughnecks I should watch.
Oh shit. You want me to? We'll text him.
No, I was totally kidding. Okay, McKenna. I mean, I would have asked him, but
All right.
no, it's not a big deal.
What, he said he did it like 10 years ago? Okay, so here's my question for you guys, because that I didn't think he was going to have that much time. Do you want to just, like, close out the show and just be like, our conversation with Jim? Or do you guys want to continue on with the last couple of questions and the quiz that I have?
Sure. Well, why don't we just record it all, and then depending on, I mean, if everybody has time to, I would say to record it all, and then if we want to cut, we can cut, in post.
Does that sound good with everybody, or?
I'm ready. I'm prepped.
Yeah,
Let's
fine.
run this, Stimpy. Yeah, let's do this thing.
Great. Okay, let me just pull it up real quick. Was that fun? Did you guys enjoy
That was awesome.
Okay, good.
It was so funny because
I
I
love
like
Jim.
literally had that question in my mind yesterday, and it was great to be able to like ask it to somebody who could answer it today about
I didn't know that
Inside
he's been
Out.
working on Finding Dory. I'm so excited.
Yeah.
Because when I
Go ahead.
go ahead.
No, go ahead.
When I went to go visit him, because I went to Pixar and got a tour with him right before I left for New York. When I went, he was working on The Good Dinosaur, so I got to see some of the shots he was working on for The Good Dinosaur.
Yeah, I was mildly worried about whether or not I was going to be able to enjoy Inside Out, just because I'm going to be. I have no choice, and I have to go see it. But yeah, I feel a lot better about it now.
Yeah, no, and Jim's one of those guys who like can very easily not be into that kind of stuff, but so the fact that he's like, oh no, you're gonna love it, like it's probably true. Okay.
I'll deal. Let's do it. I'm happy. I'm ready.
All right, so continuing on after that wonderful conversation that we just had with Jim, I have a couple more questions for the agents about if they could be any animation characters or cartoon characters, and some of their favorite cartoons from yesteryear, which I know for some of you was a while ago. So you can feel free to show your ages here. So the first question that I decided to ask was, what is your favorite cartoon or animated movie today? So Johanna, why don't we start with you?
So most of the cartoons I watch nowadays are like Daniel Tiger's Neighborhood, or Doc McStuffins, or Sophia the First. Like
basically what McKenna grew up on.
But,
Thanks.
So, Aviva owns a lot of My Little Pony Friendship is Magic toys, but we've never sat down and watched them. So we watched a bunch one day, and like, I understand bronies now. Like, something about the show just like pulls you in, and like it's very snappy, and it kind of overstimulated both me and her, so Sean has forbidden us from watching it ever again. But I don't want to say it's my favorite. But then also, because I was talking to somebody today, I've never really watched Robot Chicken, but I've watched, it's good.
Oh,
It's
freaking
hilarious.
awesome. It's so awesome.
I love basically one of the actresses from Battlestar Galactica did a couple of skits. So one of the ones she did was this parody of Strawberry Shortcake, and it's all like, oh, they're all Strawberry Shortcake, and then there's one called Black Cherry who loses her black cherry, and then so the actress's character comes out, and she's like makes some snarky remark, and like Lando, the guy who does Lando, Billy D. Williams, was there, and he's like, oh, shut up, bitch puddin'. So they go on this little quest for the black cherry, and they find it, and bitch puddin' comes out and says, I heard her daddy took her black cherry. And then everyone looks at her totally dumbfounded, and she says, blam, you all get a taste of the bitch puddin'. Because I feel that way almost every day of my life. I really do want to give people a taste of the bitch pudding.
I
So
feel like we've had a taste of it.
I feel like I've given you a whole bowl, Lorenzo.
Me too.
Yeah.
Okay, so that was more than I was expecting, but I'm glad it happened.
Wait,
Thank
what?
you. No, I'm glad. I'm glad. That was Johanna in true form, I think.
Came a
Malik,
little
how
bitch
about
pudding.
Malik, how
now
about
you're giving
you?
me a little bit of the bitch pudding.
Hey, there's not enough bitch pudding in the world, I think. So Malik, what about you?
As far as what's out there today, the only thing that I've been, I'm still watching that I've been watching for the last, I want to say, has it been 7 years now? Or maybe it's been 6 or 7 years. Archer. You guys have seen Archer. Archer is a freaking hilarious show. It's the animation. I'm not sure what type of animation it is because it's not like it's definitely not the type of animation that you're accustomed to from other animated shows, but it's still absolutely an animated feature, an animated show. It comes on the FX network, and it's absolutely hilarious. It's basically, I don't know if you guys have known, it's basically a show. Archer is a secret agent, and he works for a company. He works for an agency called ISIS, and and his mother is the head of the agency. He is really, really. The best way to put it is he's really, really good at his job, but he's such a dick and he's such an asshole and he's such a. But he comes across as an absolute moron, and so there's a real dichotomy there between who he is and what he is, what he's all about, and like how good he is at his work, and how much of a jerk he is to everybody else, everybody around him, his entire staff, and but they absolutely must get along together, or else for the missions that they do. And it's actually voiced Archer, the main character, is voiced by the same person, H. John Benjamin, who voices Bob's Burgers. The main character in Bob's Burgers was Bob Belcher. Bob's Burgers is another one that I watch, along with obviously The Simpsons, which has been on forever. Family Guy, which has been on for a while now, got stopped and then came back. And of course, last but not least, I definitely have to give props to Star Wars, The Clone Wars. That Clone Wars series that ran through the first 6 seasons, which basically takes place between episodes 2 and 3. So basically everything that happens prior to the transformation of Anakin Skywalker into Darth Vader. That had a 6-season run, and they've now moved over to Star Wars Rebels, which is another CG animated feature that takes place after the scenes of Episode 3. It's between Episodes 3 and 4, where if anybody that's seen Episode 3, anybody that's a huge Star Wars fan, at the end of Episode 3, all or at least most of the Jedi have been killed. Well, some of the Jedi have gotten away. They were able to get the word out to some of the Jedi. They have gotten away, and in this film, it follows a team of rebels, a small faction of rebels who are clearly part of a much bigger situation that even they're not fully aware of. And on the Empire side, they are sending off people to hunt the remaining Jedi, and so there are remaining Jedi still kind of scattered over the universes and the cosmos. And while that's going on, there's a small group of rebels that are fighting the good fight, and trying to get things back to whatever sense of normalcy or semblance of good life that they were accustomed to. So those are the ones that I'm watching now. My kids watch some other stuff like The Regular Show and Gravity Falls. I haven't seen any of those, but I hear that they're really, really good. I may wind up getting a chance to watch some of those, and so I'll report on them when I do.
Nice. You mentioned The Regular Show. Yeah, I really like The Regular Show and Adventure Time.
Adventure Time is definitely one that I couldn't get over the animation for a while. Like it just really looked really sophomoric in my opinion.
That's why it's
And
awesome.
I couldn't get around it. Like, I mean, to me, there's definitely a point where animation needs to meet. Like, I can't accept I think I was able to accept South Park, and I'm able to accept shows like even Archer, which is a little bit lower as far as the quality of animation is concerned, because of the fact that the audio, or because of the fact that the scripts are so good. But when it comes to these other shows like Adventure Time, it took me a while to get into them, just because I know that the script is going to be mostly kids based. You know what I mean? It's mostly going to be stuff that I'm not. It's not going to be, really. It's not going to grab me. So I'm really going to be looking at the animation, and if the animation isn't like top notch, it pulls me away. But it does. It has grown on me over time.
All right, we'll have that conversation later, because I'm not gonna take that bait. Lorenzo, how about you?
I guess chronologically, Mel Blanc and Tex Avery, like those, like Bugs Bunny, or even the stuff before Bugs Bunny, those will always like just be the best for me. Like it's absolutely like the pinnacle of cartoons. Just the way that they were able to capture like expression and movement and motion, and I think comedy is like super hard to do, like from an animation point of view. So that they did it so well and with such skill. Definitely, my favorites. And then I guess The Simpsons just had a huge impact on me growing up, and to this day it just showed me like what animation could be when you left it up to the writers to sort of drive the comedy. And I just thought it was the funniest thing ever. Then there was Joe mentioned Ninja Scroll, which the guy that directed that is Yoshiaki Kawajiri, and he did like D, the Vampire Hunter stuff, and so that animation is just like so like the way he's able to like capture movement and like the violence that Jim mentioned. Yeah, it like opened my eyes to like this whole different type of thing. And I had seen stuff like Fist of the North Star before, but just the clarity of the violence in movies like Ninja Scroll just kind of blew me away. Yeah, so those are the ones that pop into my head. And then of course Pixar. For me, Toy Story was like a game changer as well. On a different, that came out around a little bit after Ninja Scroll, I guess, but sort of around that same sort of time. It was just like a different direction that animation went, and yeah, so Toy Story will always also have a special place in my heart.
Nice. And Joe, what about you?
I'm going to stick to the actual question and my favorite cartoon today.
I wasn't gonna say anything, but God, if we're gonna call people
I
out,
give him a hard time. If it was vice versa, he would have did it to me. Anyway, so as far as today, honestly I don't really watch that many animated shows today. I do on occasion catch Robot Chicken, which is just hilarious. What Seth Green has been able to do there with his with this band of comedians, it is nothing short of spectacular. I mean, I have yet to see an episode that is not funny, where I'm just not cracking up the whole time. The other one is probably Family Guy. I actually got turned on to Family Guy when they actually did the Star Wars versions of Family Guy.
That was when you started watching that show?
Yeah, I really didn't. I didn't watch it. I don't. I told you. I just mentioned earlier. I don't watch too many animated shows now. I stick mostly to full-length features. I don't want to get invested in a weekly thing, weekly show. So I have there's tons of full-length features I watch, but as far as like just regular shows today, yeah, I'll catch Family Guy every now and then, and again, I find it hilarious. It's mostly funny most of the time, and I love the way Seth MacFarlane will like go back. I mean, like he he spoofs things that are like pretty old, that are like 20 years old, things like that. He still spoofs in for people like me. You know, it's easy to get. So that's very funny. I have one more other thing on my mind that I like to watch. Oh, and I do. I mean, going back a few years, and I think MTV is going to bring it back. I used to love Celebrity Deathmatch. I don't know if you guys ever watched it.
Really?
It's
They're gonna bring that back?
Yes, and I love Celebrity Deathmatch. I used to watch it all the time,
Yeah,
and I'm glad to hear. I read somewhere that they were bringing it back. I hope it's true, because that was just hilarious. I mean,
Well,
the fights they used to come up with were just. I mean, it was like Mariah Carey versus Jim Carrey. They were just funny, man. It was just funny, and what they did with it, like taking off their heads, cutting them in the chest, like cutting off their legs. The violence was great.
well, speaking back to what you were saying earlier about feature-length films, that's my next question. So, Joe, we'll start with you. What would you say is your favorite feature-length film? Lorenzo, you kind of spoke to this, but your current favorite feature-length animated film?
Yeah, I'm gonna stick with Japanese animation on this one, and Lorenzo already mentioned
Big
it. And
surprise.
We talked about it with Jim. It's Ninja Scroll. I mean, I've seen that movie a million times, and it's fantastic. You know, him having to fight the seven devils of Kimon, and you know, each one having their special kind of power. Kind of reminded me of Bruce Lee going through the four stages in Game of Death, or three stages rather in the Game of Death. Except with this one there were seven, and he had to defeat all of them in order to, you know, I forgot, like, oh, save the girl in Ninja Scroll, and it's very violent. I don't suggest young kids watch it, but it's a great full-length feature film if you've never seen it. The animation looks kind of dated now, but it still holds up, and it's very good.
All right. Joe or Johanna, how about you?
So I think one that I can like just sit and watch if I'm like, you know, is Finding Nemo. I really just not just in terms of the story or the dialogue, which are both excellent, but also the visuals. But I have to say the best feature-length movie that I've ever seen is the South Park movie, because that was witty, had great music, and was so terribly offensive to anybody who is alive.
Uncle Fucker?
Shut your... You know what? Let's not go there. You know the rest of the words, all of you.
I'm actually with you there on that, Johanna. I love that movie. Malik, what about you?
It's actually tough for me. I really there's a lot of animated films that I really really love. Ninja Scroll is definitely one of the best to me. I'm a huge fan of Akira as well, and as well as Fist of the North Star. There's a bunch of other ones, but probably my favorite overall animated film that I will swear to is still gets me to this day, and I still make my kids watch it every once in a while, is The Lion King. I absolutely love The Lion
yes.
King.
Oh my goodness, yes.
I've seen, and I must say, I have seen The Lion King at least a good 100 times already. just by chance of either having I've owned it on every format that you could possibly own it on. I've watched the sequels and everything that came after it, which weren't as good as the original, but still had their own flair. But just its tale of obviously it still has the same tropes of you losing a parent and everything like that, but just a tale of growing into boy becoming a man, recognizing your responsibilities in life, things of that sort. Like, it tells you it along with all the great songs, along with all the great character stuff, it tells a really really interesting story about growing up and about adolescence and about what it takes and when you make that decision to become more than just the kid, more than just the guy who's living his life. Eventually, you take the bull by the horns and lead the path in some way, shape, or form. So, like, there's so much going on in that film, and honestly, Scar is to me one of the best villains on television and is on movie in movies ever. And just my favorite song from the film is actually his song, "Be Prepared."
Oh, yeah.
I love that song
Mhm.
so much. Like, I love that song so much. I downloaded that song and put it on my iPod, just specific to listen to that song. Like, I don't even listen to it as a part of the soundtrack. I just love that song. So yeah, it would be Lion King for me, and big shout out to our special guest Jim, because without The Incredibles, I don't think that I would be as into animated movies as I am now. Because The Incredibles is an amazing, amazing piece of work that Pixar did back in 2004. I can't wait for part two. So I did want to plug that, but if I had to pick one, it'd be The Lion King.
Funny quick story about The Incredibles and Jim. I remember when his little boy was, that was like one of the first movies that he used to watch. He would watch that, and he would watch Finding Nemo. And he didn't know how to say The Incredibles yet, so he would say, when he wanted to watch Finding Nemo, he would go, Nemo, Nemo, and if he wanted to watch The Incredibles, he'd say, Supers, Supers, because that was all he could get out, and they always knew that that was what he wanted, so it was just a little fun fact. But yeah, that's his favorite too.
I'm trying to convince my wife now for this year, and I've almost got her there for this year to do The Incredibles for Halloween after the babies. Since the birth of my new baby, we now literally we have all 5 characters. We literally have all 5 characters. We have the older girl. We have Jack, who's we have the little boy, and then we have the baby, and then we have the mom and dad. So I'm really trying to push this now for us to be Incredibles for Halloween.
So Malik, if you go on my Facebook, my dad, my stepmom, and my little brother were the Incredibles last year for Halloween, but they got the suits that blow up. So they had like these massive muscles, and my stepmom like did her hair like the mom, like in that like swoop. Like, oh yeah, so you gotta look it up, but you can rent those that blow up with the muscles and everything, and they're hilarious.
I think I will. Once I'm able to show my wife what it looks like, yeah, I think it's gonna be a go this year. I've got my fingers crossed.
Lorenzo, how about you? What's your favorite? Well, I guess you kind of said it, but your favorite all-time feature-length animation film? Lorenzo?
Can't hear you, buddy, if you're talking.
Oh, hold on. Should we move on? Hello?
He's muted now. Let me see if he unmutes to see if he can get on.
Can you guys hear me?
Oh, now we can hear you.
Just heard you.
Hear you talking.
We can hear you now, Lorenzo.
Oh, is that his mic?
That must be him. And when you're talking, there's a lot of static, Lorenzo. We're not actually hearing you come in, just a bunch of static.
Let me go over. So I think I'm just for time's sake.
Now can you hear me?
Ah, now we can hear you.
All right.
So your favorite feature-length animated film, Lorenzo?
Is that me making that clicking sound?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Let's see. My favorite animated film. I think I said it once. I think I'll say it again. Toy Story. I think is
Toy
my
Story.
favorite. Always have a place in my heart. Definitely love a lot of the other Pixar movies. Incredibles is incredible, but yeah, there's just something about that one, you know.
Mm.
A classic.
Okay, so I think just for time, I'm gonna skip ahead to the animation show quiz, trivia quiz. So this one's a little bit different than I have done with you guys in the past. But what we are gonna do is I have a list of a couple of cartoons from today and from the past, and a couple of animated movies. And what I've done is I have taken their theme songs, and I have some lyrics from their theme songs that I am just going to say to you guys. And from the lyrics, you guys have to tell me which either movie or cartoon they are from. Sound good?
How do we let you know?
You're going to say your names, and Joe is going to keep track of who's winning. Joe, do you think you could do that?
Joe's generally so good at that.
Hello?
Did
Joe?
we lose Joe?
Joe?
I get it. You know, Garrison's not on, or Jim's not on anymore. Nobody wants to talk to just me. It's like the show's just gone downhill. I get it. Fine. Did we lose Joe?
It looks like we did.
Oh shit.
Actually, it says Agents of Film left group chat, so he has left the chat, so maybe he's trying to rejoin now.
Okay. And just so you guys know too, in the meantime, Jim texted me as soon as he got off, and he was like, "That was so much fun. Thank all of them for me."
Oh, that's wonderful.
Good. I'm glad it worked out. Well, yeah, Mr. I'm not an expert. I wanted to be like, okay. I knew he knew his shit.
Damn it, he teaches a class. I mean, if you teach it,
I know.
You can't teach a class. You can't teach a class and then say you're not an expert on something.
Right. I actually didn't know that story about him working with Phil on that stop animation stuff. That was cool.
Definitely, yeah.
Malik, you weren't on Thursday, but I was telling them that when I went to Tippett Studios, did you ever see that movie, The Haunting?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you remember in that movie, but there were like those like face plates of children's heads that would like turn and like scream like through the movie. Do you remember that? They were like decorations of like little like cherub heads that would turn and like scream.
I think I do.
They were terrifying.
Is this the one? Wait, now, this is the one with Liam Neeson and Owen Wilson?
Yes, with Owen Wilson. I think Catherine Zeta-Jones was in it.
Yeah, Catherine Zeta-Jones. Yes. Okay, now I do remember this. I actually specifically do remember this because Owen Wilson gets his head taken off by a flying lion's head. By a flying lion's head. It's the best part of that whole movie.
Yes.
I think I walked out of that movie now that you mention it.
So Tippett Studios did some of the animation for that movie, and they have those heads, those like cherub heads, over all of the doorways, and they were terrifying. And I remember walking and like not wanting to look at them because I was so afraid that they were going to be looking at me when I passed. They were awful.
Well, actually, yeah, they're probably one of the scariest. My wife still laughs at me to this day. One of the scariest movies I've ever experienced in the theater was, what's his name? The one about Mary Shaw with the dolls. What the hell is the name of this movie?
The dolls?
Yeah, it was a movie about the dolls, which she was a doll maker or something like that, or she was a ventriloquist. That's what it was. She was a ventriloquist.
Oh, Dead Silent or something.
Oh my gosh, that movie scares the bejesus out of me. I don't like dolls. I don't like dolls like that to this day. I can't stand them.
Oh, that's funny.
But
wait, did we get Joe back?
We got Joe back, yeah.
I never left.
Oh,
wait,
we were talking to you and we couldn't hear you.
I think because I have another mute button on my headset, and I think I hit it accidentally.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Because I was asking you how many questions, because I'm making up the thing.
It's I have 10 and then a tiebreaker.
All right, cool. So we
Okay.
are ready.
I kind of
Whoa.
zoned out. So can you just like
See? No
your?
one wants to talk now that Jim's
no,
gone.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry that I zoned out.
No, you're fine.
You're giving a lyric to a theme song.
Yes, and you have to tell me which either cartoon or animated movie is that it's from.
And you're not
I'm
going to
just-
sing it. You're just
No,
going to
I'm not going to sing it. I'm just going to say it. Now, if you guys need me to sing it, I will. But
We
I'm
need
gonna,
you to sing it.
No.
Yeah.
No, I'm saying you
It's
have to
more of
hear
a
it
challenge.
first.
No,
Yeah,
it's more of a challenge if you
exactly.
don't hear it. And plus, Johanna's probably
You
going to
guys
sing
should
it
get-
at some point.
They're really easy. These are not meant to be difficult. So it's really going to be more about speed. Okay.
All right, cool.
So let me know. So you say your names, and if you say the answer before you say your name, you don't get the point. All right. Are we ready? We
We're
understand
ready.
the rules?
Let's do it.
Sweet.
Okay. Here we go. We're going to start with an easy one. So here's the lyric. I see you pretending you've got a sliver, but you're not fooling me, 'cause I can see the way you shake and shiver.
Joe,
Oh, Malik. Oh, shit. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Joe.
Scooby-Doo.
Yeah!
Oh.
Now you can sing it, Joe.
Shake and shiver.
It was the shake and shiver that,
Yeah,
that
that's
did
what
it.
got me too.
All right, so one for Joe. We're gonna do this one down here. Okay, here we go. You guys ready?
Yeah.
Everybody get up, it's time to slam now. We've got a real jam going down.
Malik. Space Jam.
Malik. Space Jam is correct.
Oh.
Slam jam in the beat. What's up? I know that whole song. I love it. Okay, sorry. Okay, here we go. Let's ride with the family down the street through the courtesy of Fred's 2 feet.
Lorenzo.
Oh, damn.
Lorenzo.
The Flintstones.
Yes.
Oh, shit. I never knew what those words were.
Yeah.
I never knew the lyrics to that song.
Through the courtesy of Fred's 2 feet. All right, so those were all the easy ones, guys. Good job. Now we're going to get to the harder ones. Actually, I've got one more easy one. Here we go. Everyone ready?
Yeah.
Happy, happy, joy, joy.
Johanna.
Lorenzo.
Johanna.
Ren and Stimpy.
Yes. Is everyone on the board?
Everyone is on the board.
Wow.
Nice. All right, good, because that was my last easy one. Okay, so this one is hard, and it is the only lyric in the theme song that is not the name of the show. So you're gonna have to bear with me, okay? Feel the magic, hear the roar.
Malik. Thundercats.
Yeah.
Ah, really good.
It was like, I was looking up the lyrics and it was like, Thundercats, 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 feel the magic, hear the roar, Thundercats, Thundercats, Thundercats. Okay. Let's see. This one's hard. Some folks might be a little bit smarter than I am, bigger and stronger too, maybe, but none of them will ever love you the way I do. It's me and you, boy.
Hmm.
Can you repeat that?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Some folks might be a little bit smarter than I am, bigger and stronger too, maybe, but none of them will ever love you the way I do. It's me and you, boy.
Hmm. I'm
One more time, McKenna. One more time.
stumped.
Okay. Some folks might be a little bit smarter than I am, bigger and stronger too, maybe, but none of them will ever love you the way I do. It's me and you, boy.
I think there's something about the way you're saying the last 3 words is just throwing me off.
And I have, okay, so I'm gonna say the rest of it because there is a little bit more, and I think you guys will get it from that. So I'm gonna say the rest. As the years go by, our friendship will never die. You've got to see it's our destiny. You've got a
Johanna?
friend
You
in
got a
me.
Lorenzo.
Johanna
I
said
said
it
it
first.
first,
Johanna said
I
it
said my
first.
name first. I said my you've got
Johanna?
a friend in me.
Yeah, but what's the...
Oh, Toy Story.
Yes, Lorenzo, that was yours.
I know. I was
Yeah.
gonna say it the first time, but then I chickened out. I was like, I can't say Toy Story, and I'd be wrong about it. That's why when you said it,
All right, Johanna gets Lorenzo's point.
Huzzah!
yeah.
Okay, here we go. Next one. They're the world's most fearsome fighting team.
Lorenzo.
Malik.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Yes, they're heroes in a half shell, and they're green. Oh, I have not heard you say a word. Did we lose Joe again?
No, I'm here.
Well,
Oh,
okay.
I lost you for a second.
Yeah, we lost you for a quick second, McKenna.
You lost me?
Yeah, for a
Yeah.
quick second.
All we heard was screw
Oh,
you. I'm
okay.
like, where'd that come from?
I missed the screw you part.
All right. Here we go. He's often flying as he guns the car around the track. He's jamming down the
Lorenzo.
pedal like he's
Oh,
never coming
damn
back. I actually didn't hear who.
Lorenzo.
Lorenzo?
Is it Speed?
Speed Racer.
Yes, Speed Racer is correct.
I did that one too.
Just adding it in there, Malik.
Yeah,
Should have been quicker.
Yeah.
Okay, next. Till we find our place on this path unwinding.
Whoa.
Oh, Johanna. Johanna.
Yes, Johanna?
The Circle of Life, Lion King.
Yes!
Wow.
Wow.
I also
two-
really like Lion King.
The two movies that both of you guys pointed out that I thought you would get, Johanna stole from you.
Nice.
Oh no! Well, if you'd give me a lyric from freaking Be Prepared, I'd
Be
have taken it.
prepared.
You would have been prepared. Yeah.
I'd have been prepared for that one. Shit.
Okay. Okay, this one's a little hard, so we'll see. We'll see how you guys do. It's the time of your life, so live it well.
It's the time of your life, so live it well. That's what you said?
Mhm. I'll give you a hint. It's from a movie.
Can you say any more of the lyrics?
Yeah, but it's gonna give
Maybe
it
you can name
away.
it in 5 notes, not just 3.
Huh?
Maybe you can name it in 5 notes.
Name that tune.
Yeah.
Oh. Okay, I'll give you guys another lyric. Was a bug, little bug, barely there.
Oh, Malik. Bugs
Malik.
Life.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't remember that at all.
The other Randy Newman classic.
Well,
Yeah.
when you said Bugs, I was thinking Bugs Life. Malik beat me to it.
Yeah, I thought it was Bugs Life at first.
All right, and you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and just do the last one. Might as well. Unless, do we have a tie right now?
No, you don't. If you do this one, you may have a tie.
Okay, so let's go ahead and just do this one. So this one's a little bit different. What classic Saturday morning cartoon has a theme song that only consists of 11 words and never repeats itself?
Say that again. Sorry. From the beginning.
What classic Saturday morning cartoon has a theme song that consists of only 11 words and never repeats itself?
Do you have to say the name of the song? No. Just have to
Just
say the name of the show.
cartoon, yeah.
11
11 words and never repeats
11
itself.
words. 11 words and never repeats itself.
You said Saturday morning cartoon.
Classic.
It's a classic.
Saturday morning cartoon.
I'm thinking it's the Bugs Bunny show, but I'm not sure why.
Is that your final answer?
I think it's the best I'm going to be able to do.
And never repeats itself. That's so weird.
And never repeats
Wait,
itself.
okay, can we have a quick hint? Like, how is it? Is it a newer show or an older show?
Classic Saturday
Just a classic.
morning.
Classic. Well, shit, there could be new shows that are classic Saturday morning cartoons. Like, within the last 20 years.
Okay, it is not within the last 20 years.
Okay.
Oh.
All right, so I'm gonna shoot.
Jesus.
I also promise every single one of you has seen this cartoon.
Oh gosh, this is gonna suck. If I get this wrong.
And it was a TV series. You said that already. Yeah.
I'm gonna guess Masters of the Universe. I know that's totally wrong, but I'm
That
just
is
putting it out there.
incorrect.
He-Man.
Yeah. Well, I give up.
It was, yeah, his joints was like 2 words. Was it just He-Man?
By the power of Grayskull.
Oh man.
And He-Man didn't come out Saturday mornings, I don't think. That was like
Well,
every
thanks
day.
a lot, you guys. Thank you for shitting on my totally inappropriate response.
Saturday mornings. What came on Saturday?
Let me know if you guys give up.
Oh, never.
Well, I'm gonna take a guess.
All right?
Oh no, it's cartoon. No, it's cartoon, right? This is definitely cartoon, no live action, right?
This is the animated show.
Okay, animated. I'm just making sure.
The animation show.
You weren't gonna throw in like Pee-wee's Playhouse or something.
No.
That's tough. 11 words they just say over and over again because it's the
They never repeat itself.
right. They never repeat itself. It's
Right.
just
It's
11.
kind of the opposite.
11 words long, and it has the title of the show in it.
Kind of.
Kind of. Okay.
Kind of.
You guys give up?
Saturday morning classic cartoon.
Joe's like determined.
Shit.
I mean, it has no stake. I have no chance of winning. So, just trying to think. So I'm guessing it's from the 70s or 80s.
All right, I'm gonna throw a guess out. Popeye.
Okay.
Popeye the Sailor
Nope.
Man.
And it repeats.
Yeah, because it never repeats. They say Papa the Sailor Man.
But it's more than 11 words, too.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's more than 11 words too. Okay.
Are we done? Joe, come on.
Yeah, let's go.
Hail Mary.
No. Just let's end this.
Lorenzo, I'm excruciatingly disappointed in you.
I'm sorry.
Meet George Jetson, daughter Judy,
Oh my god.
his boy Elroy.
That was not a Saturday morning
James'
cartoon.
wife. What? Yes, it was.
That was not Saturday morning.
Well, what's
Okay.
Saturday morning in Joe's lifetime.
Not when I was growing up. Was a Saturday morning.
Seriously, the Jetsons. You guys, I looked up that theme song, and it was 11 words, and I was like, oh my god, I don't think anybody realizes that is only 11 words.
Well, what I didn't realize is that it didn't repeat itself. I was like, it must repeat itself because I did consider it, but then I was like,
And it
George
never
Jetson,
says,
his wife.
and they never
He
actually
never says
say like
Jetsons
the
again.
Jetsons. Yeah, they just
Wow.
say meet George Jetson. There you go.
His
There's your
boy
little fun
Elroy,
fact today.
daughter Judy, Jane, his wife. Holy shit.
You just blew all of our minds.
Interesting.
McKenna.
Yes, yes.
Wow.
That's exactly what I need
So
for going
there
to
you
bed.
go. That was our little mind cannon.
All right, it didn't matter though because somebody already won. Who won?
Yes, and who won?
The winner is drum roll is Malik with 4.
Awesome. Oh, yeah.
And Malik
Nice.
has 4.
So
Nice.
Malik.
Well, we
Johanna
all
could
know
have
who
forced
the
a
real winner in
tiebreaker.
this was.
Who's the winner?
Johanna killed it.
How did I kill it? I answered 2 questions.
She answered 3.
stole all of the right answers from the people who should have known the right answers.
Well, what can I say?
Johanna had 3. That was the. If she would have got number 11 correct, then she would have tied with Malik, and that would have forced a tiebreaker. But
Nice. All right. Well, that is all the time and material that I have for tonight. On behalf of the other agents And my Uncle Jim, thank you so much for tuning in. And I think next week, who's up next week?
Lorenzo. Lorenzo.
Again, really me?
I think.
Yeah, you come
Yeah, it's
up.
gonna be an
pretty sure you
awesome
follow
show,
me.
guys. It's gonna be so incredible.
Oh,
I've been
no,
thinking about
yeah,
this for months. I've been thinking about it for
yeah,
months. It's
so,
gonna be great. It's gonna rock y'all's world.
Make sure that you
Listen.
tune in next week, or you download Lorenzo's show. And also, can we post the link to Jim's day animation or cartoon a day blog on our site? Can we do that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Great. So we'll also have a link to that, and we'll also have a link to Jim's IMDb page if you guys have any references or any questions for that too. So again, on behalf of myself and the other agents, thank you, and have a great night. Signing off.
Does he go by Uncle Jim on IMDb? Because that would be fun.
That's what we'll say.
I looked. I didn't find it. I couldn't.
No, I told you guys what his real name
But
is.
he goes
I had to ask.
under James
Don't
Brown.
Don't say it. Don't. No. Shh. I don't
We
know
can
if you
cut it
say
out.
it.
We can cut
Can
it
we?
out.
Okay.
Yeah. I actually had a friend help
You made
me
me
with
wanna-
my questions because I'm terrible.
Hold
And
on, but why can't we say his name?
We could. I just didn't know if he wanted like. his
Well,
full
you should
name
give
on
him
there.
the link to
Well,
his.
Well, his IMDb page will tell the whole story, so that's fine.
I guess that's true. Well, he gave me the IMDb page, so I guess
Okay.
that's a good point.
Yeah.
Anyway, what were you saying, Johanna?
oh, that because I couldn't come up with any questions myself because I was kind of like all I would really say is like good animate you animator. Because I really respect people who do stuff like that, but I can never think of questions. I just want to hear them talk. So my friend was like, "Oh yeah, where does he work?" I'm like, "Pixar," and he's like, "What's his name?" I'm like, "Uncle Jim." That's all I know about him. His name is Uncle Jim. all I
that's
know is that
funny.
he's Uncle Jim and he works for Pixar. Give me some damn questions.
Well, no, you guys, thank you so much. You have no idea how much this meant to me. Jim always has like really creative things that he has the whole family involved in. Like all of his Christmas presents are like super involved. So it was nice to get to ask him to be involved in something. And I think you guys could tell how much he really loves his job and how much he loves
Yeah.
his art. So I
think
appreciate it.
This is going to be a badass show. Like it's going to be really
a
fucking
badass, legit show.
Really
yeah, I'm
good
excited.
show. Yeah.
Oh, speaking of badass show, Malik.
Mm-hmm.
I spoke to Colin,
Mm-hmm.
and he has 2 suggestions for the show.
Okay.
So he said that he would first, if you could, I don't know if you'd be able to do this, but he would love to have you do the drug show.
Oh, I can definitely.
I don't know the drug show. I don't know if that's a possible or like what that would entail. But he would love to.
What does he mean by the drug show? That's a
like
good question.
Requiem for a Dream and stuff like that.
Should I have to see
There was
what
Garden State
Scarface.
Also, movies
Oh.
about drugs.
or yeah, something like that. And then
Or
the
drugs in
other-
general.
Sure. And then the next suggestion, he said, if that doesn't work, the history show that would be like based on drunk history. Have you ever watched Drunk History?
Oh yeah.
Ooh, Malik, we could do the drugged history show.
The drugged history show.
It could just be like history from like the drug point of view.
A history of drugs, like how there was cocaine in Coca-Cola.
So anyway,
Or we could
those
all
were the
pop mollies and
suggestions.
do a
I
show.
told
Yeah.
I
Roll.
told him that you guys I told him that you would think about it and let
Okay.
me know if he needed to come up with more suggestions.
Well, you said what was the history show based off of what?
My Drunk History, the YouTube, it was on
comedy.
YouTube, but Funny or Die. Basically, they have people who know a lot about history get wasted and explain history, but
yeah, like,
then they
like
have
throw up wasted.
they have Yeah, but then they have famous actors act out
out
the
what they
history, and the dialogue is the drunk people talking like so. So it has like Jack
the drunk
Black.
history teachers quote, and so when they say a quote, like they'll be quoting, George Nixon, and they'll have like George Nixon, and he'll be saying the George Nixon line, but he'll be saying it in the voice of the drunk history teacher.
Yeah, so or like Jack
Okay.
Black. So Jack Black, I think, plays like Thomas Edison, and whenever the drunk person's like, and then Thomas Edison's all like, whatever, man, get out of my way. It shows Jack Black saying, whatever, get out of my way with their voice.
Exactly.
It's really funny.
Really
So
check it
you
out.
should look it up.
Yeah, I'll check it out.
Yeah.
And like,
So
and like so at one point, like one of the guys throws up, and so like the guy who's acting it out like also says the lines about throwing up, because the guy's like, oh my god, I'm gonna throw up.
and yeah, George Washington's like, wait a minute, oh my god, I'm gonna throw up. It's really funny.
Yeah, all on Molly's. That'd be great. We could just like history while we're what do they call it
Molly,
here
we
on
talk about
Molly?
history.
What is that called?
Rolling.
Rolling?
Yeah.
We could all be rolling.
Be rolling. Yeah, let's do the show rolling. That's a great idea.
Rolling history.
All right, you guys.
Okay.
I'm gonna head to bed. But that's what they suggested, or he suggested. And if you need a different suggestion, I'll let him know.
I will start thinking through some stuff too.
Okay.
Oh, also, Lorenzo, you should cut the bitch pudding part out.
No, that was awesome.
It was very flat. It was very
flat.
It
I
didn't
thought it was hilarious.
really. I don't know. Nobody laughed. So I was just kind of like, well, shit.
Yeah, we made fun of the bitch pudding. What are you talking about?
I liked it. Johanna, I like when that side comes out.
What? I want to know what side this is.
The side that wants to like.
Eat
Be
some
like
bitch
a-
pudding.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, I am full.
Serve bitch pudding to other people.
I am full of bitch pudding, like on the daily lately. So
Good. Good.
Lately.
Oh, shut up.
I don't know what to call like your particular brand of bitchiness, but I'll find something.
All right. I'm going to call it. You guys, thank you so much. I think that was so much fun, and Jim really had a good time.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
glad he
Thanks,
did.
guys.
I mean,
Oh,
great having him.
also, quick reminder, if you guys now have guests on the show, I did set up a guest Gmail account for those guests. It's AOHguest1. Agents of Helm, AOHguest1 at Gmail, and I'll send that to you guys. And the password is just Agents of Helm, all one word.
That's really
Okay.
great of you, McKenna. Like
Yeah,
that's, we
it
needed
was
that.
super easy, and Joe got it all set up so that we can just call directly in.
That is-
Genius, Joe. Genius.
Okay?
Very nice.
Worked.
Very nice. Thanks, guys.
Are we all in the office
Alright.
tomorrow?
I'm
Yes.
not until Wednesday.
Oh,
shit.
lucky you.
Yeah. No, it doesn't.
Whatever.
I'm getting my car detailed tomorrow.
Nice.
Oh.
It's not gonna be fun. It's not gonna be fun at all.
Are you doing it, or are you paying somebody to do it?
I'm paying somebody to do it, and I'm sitting around watching them do it.
Oh, you can
that
just
sounds
drop it
like
off
fun.
and come back and get it?
Well, it's in Yonkers, right? So they might
You're
give
gonna
me
Charles
a.
Oakley's place?
No.
Do you guys
no,
wanna know
I'm taking it to
something?
the dealership.
Oh,
You guys
okay.
want to know
Yeah.
something disgusting? When my dad had to have his car worked on, he had to have the bumper fixed and he had to have the car detailed. The agent or the place that he took it paid him to take his car there because it's a Tesla. And if he took it there, then they got to be like licensed to do like work on Teslas, and it was like really good for their business. So they were like, "We'll pay you to bring your car here to fix it and detail it." And he was like, "Okay." So there you go.
Yeah, it's like the rich they just keep getting richer.
There you go. That's just how it
That is
works.
true.
1%.
Well,
Also,
I'm hoping that they give me a rental. Be nice.
Malik, something you can do tomorrow while you're in Yonkers is watch the latest episode of Game of Thrones because it's so good.
Oh
So
God,
good.
really? Okay.
Don't
Alright.
don't make okay. Don't.
Pretty good. It's a little
Don't-
frustrating too.
Really? I didn't watch the last
No,
10
I
minutes.
You didn't watch the last 10
I
minutes?
did actually.
No, but I watched that big scene that lasted like 20 minutes.
I
It
did.
lasts the
I
last
did.
Now you
10
guys are
minutes.
really building it up. Now this better be something good now.
Well, we've been waiting for it for a while.
Okay, don't say any more.
All right,
I
guys.
did.
Sorry,
All right,
I'm gonna sign
No
off.
problem.
All right,
Okay,
McKenna, I'll see you
McKenna.
tomorrow.
See you guys tomorrow.
Bye.
All right.
Bye.
So
I didn't abhor last week's episode, so yeah, I'm not.
Oh, there is much to
Oh,
abhor in this episode, but it is in a good way. Yes.
Okay. All right.
okay.
I
All right,
hear
I'm
I
probably
hear
gonna
the I hear the skepticism in your voice, Malik, but it's okay.
No,
Yeah,
I'm probably
I
gonna
don't
watch
think
it right now.
I'm gonna watch it
Actually,
tomorrow morning on the way in.
I don't know that
I
their
was just
skepticism is
watching
going to
it.
be quelled just by this one episode, though. But I think we could all agree that it's better than the last one.
I mean, like, the thing is, it's uneven, right? Like, in terms of, like, the action, it is uneven, but once you get to the action, it's, like, not everything else, it's like it disappeared. Or disappears. To me, it did.
Yeah, you're saying too much.
I mean,
Johan.
I'm sorry,
I'll check for it.
Lorenzo.
I'll check for it. I will watch it. I'm gonna probably want to watching it in the next few minutes after we hang up this call. I will probably sit down with my wife and we'll watch it because the baby's up, so we'll probably be up with him.
Oh, no.
So I'll definitely catch it.
It's going to be 2
But
a.m.
yeah, last week's episode actually, I didn't hate last week's episode. I wasn't I wasn't overly happy with it, but at least one of the sand snakes got to show us exactly what makes them dangerous. Like she had the poison on the dart. I thought that was awesome.
Yeah, that's all right.
Look, did
I
you
thought that
hear
was awesome. Just
went off for like 45 minutes about
Yeah,
how
I know you guys did. I know you guys did. But no, I actually liked the fact that yes, he thought of that. Like she was okay. That was actually smart.
But why not
And then-
have a poison that killed somebody sooner rather than later?
Because slow acting poison is still good. There's nothing wrong with that. I
Not
can't
when
hate
you're
on
in
that.
a hand-to-hand combat fight. You want the person to start suffering, like even if it doesn't kill them, even if it just makes their stomach cramp up, you want it to happen right then so that you can take advantage of it. It
Or
doesn't
make
do you
them
any
crap
good if
all
you're
over
dead.
themselves, you know.
Yeah, something like that.
Well, I mean,
Shit pudding.
there's plenty of examples of women poisoning men over time, rather than poisoning them right like
Yeah, but that's
in
different.
the
'cause
middle of a knife
they're trying to
fight.
hide. They're trying to hide a murder. Really, that's different. She's
She's in the middle of a knife
Hey,
fight.
in the middle of a fight.
I have a problem with it. Maybe that was the only poison she had access to at the time, was the slow acting.
At the
okay?
time, they came prepared for that thing.
I'm
Anyway,
not,
the best part was her
I'm not mad at
with
that.
the striptease. That was the best part in that scene.
oh, that was the icing on the cake. That was the icing on the
No,
cake.
that was the cake and
the
the
most
The cake and
beautiful
icing.
woman in Westeros.
I was like, yeah, you got my vote, Shorty.
Oh, Shorty. I was
At
like
this
that.
point, you got my vote. You got my vote. No problem.
It would have been really diabolical in like maybe some other way, but the way she used it was just like to flirt with him, you know?
Yeah, and here's the antidote, by the way. Here.
And so she just gives away like this whole thing.
And then she's like, I like you too.
I mean, because you're right, it could have been useful like in some other situation to use that poison, or at least definitely the remedy. She gave away the her necklace. What do you call it? Not remedy.
The antidote.
The antidote.
The
Yeah.
antidote. Yeah, she gave it
She
away.
just
pretty
gave him
quickly.
her
I don't know.
antidote. Do you think she has
Something like
another
the
one
guy,
of
I
those
guess.
necklaces in like her panty pocket or something?
You don't tell me who. If he doesn't tell her that she's the best looking in Westeros, then he dies. That's pretty much it.
It's
She
as
didn't hear
simple
somebody
as
tell her she
that.
was pretty.
She just really needed somebody to tell her she was pretty.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I would have told her that shit I would have told her that shit on cue.
I feel like other people would have too. Maybe she
I wouldn't
just
even
couldn't
need
believe
it.
that she did it herself.
But otherwise, I mean, so I didn't hate the episode. I thought it was interesting. And I like the fact that at the very end of the episode, so in this new episode, that's the only question I have. In this new episode, do we get to see the aftermath of what happens when Tyrion
Yes.
and him meeting? Okay, we do get to see some of that. Okay, that's it. That's all I want to know.
Yeah, don't say no more. It's got
That's all I
Daenerys
wanted
in
to
it,
know.
so I need to see.
Yeah, because that's the only thing that would piss me off. Like if we went back to the wall and stayed there for like 45 fucking minutes and we didn't touch on what happened last week. I hate that.
I'm not saying full frontal Daenerys nudity, but
I'm so glad he agreed to that.
Wait, what are you referring to?
Hey, stop!
Agreed.
We're gonna
Fucking
see it.
Jon
We're
Snow.
gonna
He
see it. It
spoiled
doesn't
first. He
matter.
tried to spoil first. It wasn't me.
No, I'm just glad he agreed's gone. That's all. Okay. All right, guys. Have a great night. I'll talk to you guys. Tomorrow night. Are we recording tomorrow night?
Yeah. We're gonna discuss Game of Thrones.
Okay. Game of Thrones. Okay.
Right.
Okay. Cool. Talk to you guys tomorrow night, and I'll see you guys in the office on Wednesday.
All right.
all right.
Cool.
Good luck with your car.
All right. Yeah.
He's getting
Hopefully,
it washed.
my hope is that they give me a rental, and if they give me a rental,
Yes?
What?
Did you finish that sentence? Did he just drop off?
I don't know.
He was like, drop the
it's
microphone.
So hopefully I get a rental car, and if I do, I'm going to go to a movie.
Ooh.
Nice.
Well, I went to see San Andreas, so don't waste
That's
your
what I'm
time.
going to go see. That's what I'm going to go see. So we can do a review.
I saw San
No,
Joe, I saw San
we
Andreas.
want to do a review, right? Let's do a
Yeah,
review
okay.
of it.
I saw San Andreas. And Joe, you know what else I saw?
Multiple guys,
I
multiple,
wanted to ask,
let's do a review.
can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to ask McKenna's uncle about it because I also saw Tomorrowland, and that's what's his name, Bird, and what's the guy's
Bird.
first name?
Brad Bird.
Brad Bird. Brad Bird
Yes.
directed Tomorrowland, and I wanted to hear what his thoughts on it were because, and in general, like what the difference is between like a guy that directs animation going into like live action movies, because Tomorrowland.
Well, he also did Ghost Protocol too.
I didn't see that one, so I didn't. I was going to ask about that too, because is it good?
Well, Ghost Protocol
Ghost Protocol
Yeah.
is awesome.
was excellent.
Ghost
Okay.
Protocol is awesome.
It's on Netflix, so I'll watch it. I don't think I've watched it. I think it's on Netflix. Is it on Netflix?
I think so. I mean, I bought it
Probably.
too.
I mean, it's been on cable for a long time too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if it's not on Netflix, Lorenzo, just look out for it on cable because the new one's coming. Rogue Squadron is coming out later this summer.
Yeah.
So you know they're going to be playing Ghost Protocol
Gotta rewind through the
on
whole
cable
thing.
like crazy. So,
Well, what you think of San Andreas without saying too much to Malik? Lorenzo.
Oh, the audience I was with clapped. Like everybody clapped at the end of it. So
Really?
yeah, like
It was
everybody-
Malik. I'm just telling. It's no different than The Day After Tomorrow,
yeah, which is what I
Independence
said.
Day, Godzilla.
It is different
you know,
than that because it's got The Rock in it, and it's got that girl. Oh my God, how old is she?
Carla Gugino.
Yeah.
She's like 44.
She's like ageless.
the daughter.
Oh, the daughter. I don't know how old she is.
I don't know. She's hot.
Yeah, she is, but I mean,
She carried a lot of the scenes for me when she's like just running around.
she carried a lot of the scenes for you.
I'm serious. Like when it was her and the two brothers. Like I didn't give a fuck about the two brothers, but I was just like watching her the whole time.
The whole time I'm watching it with Lydia, I'm like, Lydia and I are watching it, and I'm like, this guy's going through a lot of trouble. I know he's gonna get some at the end. He's got to.
Oh yeah, he does.
I'm like, there's no way. I'm telling my wife, I'm like, this guy's not doing this just to be nice.
Yes, I mean I kind of liked it. It was all right. Like I was worried about her. I thought it was a
You
little
were worried
ridiculous.
about
sometimes.
her.
I was like,
I
she
mean,
has some moments towards the end where you're not sure she's gonna make it.
Yeah.
I was worried about her. life.
I didn't hate it. I definitely didn't love it. I just thought it was like no different than those other movies.
But it had
Same
The
thing.
Rock, and I like The Rock.
Dude, I love The Rock, but
I've never seen a
I'm not
movie
gonna
with
say
The
no.
Rock
I
in it.
don't want to say
Oh
too
no,
much.
what are the other movies that you compared it to? What did you just say? You said
Day After Tomorrow.
All of the Roland Emmerich films.
All of Roland Emmerich. This was executive produced by Toby Emmerich. It's the same.
Oh,
It's the
really?
same
no.
thing.
But who were the actors
2012?
in The Day After Tomorrow?
The
Jake
Day After Tomorrow was
Gyllenhaal.
Jake Gyllenhaal and God, what's the Dennis Randy
Dennis Quaid.
the Dennis Quaid.
Dennis Quaid.
No, The Rock. All right, what was the other movie you mentioned?
Do anything with destruction. Independence Day.
Independence
Godzilla.
Day. Independence Day is a great movie. So
I love Independence Day.
yeah, you can't really use
even
that.
make
as
it
a
part
example.
two.
Independence Day is not a great movie. I'm sorry.
You don't think
Um,
Independence Day is a great movie?
No, I don't think it's a great movie. Now, don't get me wrong. The destruction scenes in all those movies are fantastic. Nobody does destruction like those guys do. But
Well, I think that's what you come for, honestly.
but then
You come for the first hour of the film.
Oh, and you know
Once
what
that's
else?
over,
Though,
and they
is
try to piece together a story behind it. You're like, whatever.
you get to fly around in a helicopter, which you don't get to do. In a lot of those movies.
you get to fly around. I'm not going to say anymore,
No,
but you
he
do get
does
to fly
fly.
around.
He does get to fly around the destruction in a helicopter.
Let's just say, kind of like what we talked about in Game of Thrones the other week or the past couple of weeks. There's a lot of coincidence in this film. A lot of things just fall into place.
It's not. I've seen like Game of Thrones is worse. I
Yeah,
think.
no. I mean, you're right. I'm just saying that a lot of things fall into place.
Some things fall into place. Sure.
Well, the first one, the best destruction I've seen thus far with those Emmerich guys was to me was 2012. Was this like on par with that as far as the
It's
destruction
just
goes?
like 20. I forgot about 2012. Yeah, 2012. Very similar.
Okay.
It's the same type of thing. Yeah, I mean,
Like I love John Cusack, but
Yeah, I like John-
he's no Rock.
no, nobody's The Rock. But again, The Rock isn't much of The Rock in this movie either.
He
So-
does okay. He does all right.
I mean,
There's
He's
no
no
fighting.
Hobbs.
You know,
there's
he's not
definitely no
really-
fighting, and Lorenzo, there isn't much saving either.
He does some saving.
I counted 5 people in the whole movie. Anyway.
No, that's true. Like I said, he does have a helicopter, Malik, and you would think that maybe they could probably put this helicopter to better use than like him chasing his family
He pretty
around
much
California.
uses it to take it from place to place, is what he does it.
Meanwhile, like
I'm
thousands,
like,
millions
I'm
of
talking to
people.
Lydia, I'm like, shouldn't he be saving people? What's he doing?
I will see if I can catch it tomorrow. If not, I'll try to catch Tomorrowland.
Yeah,
At the
and,
very least.
Tomorrowland was. I mean, I can't say it was disappointing because I wasn't expecting much, but it was kind of disappointing.
well, the reviews are, I mean, for both movies actually, were kind of disappointing.
I would imagine that the reviews are worse for Tomorrowland, but
Yeah.
I could be wrong. It does have George Clooney in it. He's dreamy, although he's looking old. Everybody's looking old though. What are you gonna do?
Hey, but the thing that The Rock can do with a rowboat in a tidal wave, a tsunami, is incredible.
It wasn't a rowboat. It was like a
I know,
tugboat.
I'm exaggerating, but
It was a
yeah,
tugboat.
the things he can do. If if the guys in a perfect storm had The Rock, they might have made it. They might have made it.
Come on, Joe. That was a pretty cool scene, though. Like
I'm not saying it wasn't
I'm
a cool
bigger
scene.
skeptic. I'm a bigger skeptic than you are, and I enjoyed that scene.
Okay, now Malik, you hear him, right? So the Flash is ridiculous, but The Rock and San Andreas is real. So I see where you're coming from, Lorenzo.
Hilarious.
But yeah, go check it out. I mean, if you get a matinee, that'd be great. Lydia and I weren't expecting much, so we went to the early show. So we wouldn't have to pay that much.
You didn't feel cheated. Good.
Yeah.
I saw Poltergeist. I saw that, and I saw
I heard Poltergeist was
All
horrible.
right, Lorenzo, when you say
Tomorrowland.
you saw these movies, did you see them in their entirety, or did you see like 20 minutes?
Did you theater hop?
40
I mean,
minutes?
That's what it's sounding like.
I did both.
Did you see all these movies in their entirety, or
So
you?
I saw all of San Andreas, and I saw all of Tomorrowland, but I only saw like the last 30 minutes maybe of Poltergeist, but I don't really think I needed to see more than that to get the idea. I don't know. I might have liked Poltergeist more if I had seen the beginning of it, but since I just saw the ending of it, like that was a third of my favorites.
Okay.
Does that answer your question? But
Yes, it does.
San Andreas, like I came in at, like on the like, I missed the first like 25 minutes, so then I
Oh, God.
went back and I saw eventually saw the first 25
Oh,
minutes.
so you did eventually see the whole movie.
Yeah, yeah. I saw like I went back twice. So I went and saw the movie, and then I went back and saw it like, and I missed like the first, I don't know, 10 minutes or something, less than that. And so then I came back a third time and saw like from the
Oh
very
my
beginning.
God! What'd you do? Spend your entire day at the movies?
I also saw Poltergeist, and so then with Poltergeist, I just kind of came in on the end, and I tried to like go back in and catch earlier, but I couldn't do it. And so then, yeah, and then the one that ended up taking the time was finally I just sat and watched Tomorrowland. That took up like a good amount of time. So I spent a while, yeah.
Okay.
It's air conditioned.
Yeah. I saw Mad Max and San Andreas, but 2 different days.
I almost saw
Last week.
Mad Max again, but I was like, man, I can't. I should watch all these. I should have just watched it again. Because, yeah, I would like to. I've seen it like 1.5 times. It'd be nice to see it like a full second time. Maybe even in 3D.
If I don't get a chance, yeah, if I don't get to see any of those others, I'm just gonna wait around and see Mad Max. Again.
That's the spirit.
Yep. All right, guys, have a good night.
All right, man. I'll talk to you
Yeah,
guys
sure.
tomorrow.
All right.
Okay.
See you guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.